Is he actually like not human? He's not just
He's
a
half giant. He's half giant.
There's another race of beings.
Spoilers.
It's not a big important thing.
Part Marmondil or something.
What?
This is part Marvin.
Marmondils. That's like the old giant weird people from like Old English mythology.
Oh.
Marmon.
Maybe he's Mormon also. I don't know. I'm sure he's
Mormon?
hairy. Not Mormon. Mormont. Like the bear. Yeah, Mike looks like a Mormon too. He's a Mormon. He's a hairy Mormon.
Is that like hillbillies?
That's not stereotypical.
We're just hitting home runs tonight. Oh my god.
Do not listen if you are offended by anything.
Hi everyone, and welcome to the Vassals of Kingsgrave and Hogwarts! Yay! Today we are starting our very epic, probably very long Harry Potter reread, in which we will reread Harry Potter. Right now we're starting off chapter by chapter. We'll see how it goes from there. So I'm Michal. I'm inkasrain on the podcast of Ice and Fire forums, and today I have with me Greg.
Hello, this is Greg, claudiusthefool on the forums.
Casey.
This is Casey, Blue-Eyed Queen on the forums.
Varley.
Matt in real life?
Nadia.
Hello everyone, this is Nadia.
Adam.
Drownedsnow on the forums.
Zach.
Hi, this is Zach. I go by Alias on the forums.
Bing, who was... Oh, you are here. Great.
I am here. Yes. Hi. Bing. Shoeshiner on the forums.
And Paul.
And I'm Pod's Plight on the forums.
Oh my god, I remembered everyone's name, thank god.
I forgot backup
Good job.
recorder.
And backup recorder, who is
Yay.
a special guest.
Go back up.
This is my first time reading the series.
Am I alive?
Actually, let's just lay that out right now. All of us have read, of course, the wonderful Harry Potter series by J.K. Rowling, or Joanne Kathleen Rowling, or Jo, as I like to call her, because I like to pretend that we're best friends. But Greg has not. This is his first time going through the series. I don't know why, but it is. So, that's very special. He'll be giving us his newbie opinions on things.
Well, just so you know, I've seen the first two movies, but it was like years ago, and I don't remember much from them. But I have seen the first two movies. But
Does not count.
Not much of a book owner, huh, Greg?
I was about to say that. God damn it, Zach.
I didn't even know J.K. Rowling had real names. I thought she was just J.K. So
funny
The old
tidbit: on the
JK.
first printing of the first edition, she was on the copyright page as Joanne Rowling, and it's very collectible if you can get that edition because they changed it halfway through the print run.
And also, it was called the Philosopher's Stone.
Well, it's always,
it still is overseas.
It still is in England.
yeah, it's only in the U.S. that people can't figure out what a Philosopher's Stone is. It had to be Sorcerer's Stone.
Sounds so much cooler in the States.
It does a little bit, I think.
Yeah.
Plus, you've got that alliteration. I like it. No offense, Joe.
I don't think it's that people don't know what like a Philosopher's Stone is. I mean, like it's like a literary thing maybe. A lot of young people wouldn't know, but the philosopher just kind of screams boring to most people, whereas Sorcerer
Probably.
is like,
yeah,
oh
but
my gosh,
they
magic.
named Nicholas Flamel. Like, I don't
But there
understand.
there aren't really
It's
any
on the title.
sorcerers in the series either. Like they're wizards, so whatever.
I think it was just like as simple and uncomplicated as it'll sound boring. People won't read it.
Yeah.
You know.
Those
There are a
fucking
lot of
Americans.
yeah, seriously. There are a lot of things about the series that I think would be different. Some for the good and some for the bad. Like we'll get into the first chapter. But you know, like in retrospect, with the popularity that it gained, I don't think it would be quite the same series if it was published today. But before we get started, I just want to ask everyone what your Harry Potter story is. So, actually, starting with you, Greg, is there any particular reason you haven't read the books, or like because you know some books have a thing for you sometimes?
No, I just never really I didn't get into fantasy at all really until Lord of the Rings when I was in college, and then I went forward. I never really went back, so I was always reading newer stuff, except for, Game of Thrones is really the only other epic fantasy series that I read. And I've always had trouble taking, like, actual wizards, like, with wands and stuff seriously, and that's probably why I haven't read it. My whole family's read it, my cousins, most of my friends, everyone else who comes to the bookstore has read it, but this has been a crutch I've been bearing for a long time, so I'll finally get rid of it after this read.
Well, we're really,
nothing
really glad
against it. I just never got into it. It wasn't like I was consciously choosing not to read it.
Oh, that's good, because there are some people who are douchebags who are like, ew, Harry Potter, it's, like, popular, I don't want to read it, and I have no truck with those people, as is probably evident by the tone of my voice.
Magicus Objectius.
Yes,
That-
exactly.
That was me.
Oh, that was you? Okay, so
Oh, for sure.
what's your Harry Potter story?
My Harry Potter story was, I think the last book had just come out. It was 2008, and I had a month off between school and when I was like finishing, like I was going abroad to finish my master's program. And my girlfriend at the time was like, "What the fuck? What do you mean you haven't read these books? Read them." So I was like, "All right." And then like in a week, like devoured the entire series because I, didn't have school, didn't have work, and I've now, like, this past weekend, ABC Family has the Harry Potter marathon. I'm like glued to my seat, like, so.
Casey, what's your Harry Potter story?
Alright, so I don't quite remember, but I'm pretty sure the first 3 or 4 movies were out, and I just finally decided to read it, and by that time, I think I was, I want to say 11. But so I just picked up the books. I really loved them. I think I had a brief break between the 5th and the 6th book because after the end of the 5th book I got really upset and I couldn't read anything after that. And then and then after that I finished up the books, and it's always been it's been my favorite series for forever. So yeah.
Awesome. Bing, how about you?
So first time I read the book was when my middle school teacher decided to share the fact that this book is awesome to her class. And
Good lord.
I was 10, 11? 11. And apparently around the same age as the book's protagonist. So basically this book is aimed exactly at people like me. And I grew up with the series, so yeah.
Nice.
I think my love for this series peaked at book 4, unfortunately. But I still like them.
Adam, how about you?
Oh, well, I guess my story's a little less interesting, but like I don't know, I always thought I kind of came to it late, sort of like when the second movie was out, and I remember like hearing about the first movie and just kind of ignoring it, and I was 17, 18 at the time or something, so I was just kind of over all that sort of stuff. And I worked at a electronics store, and there was a girl who was like, I gotta go see this movie, and I hadn't seen it, so we had to go rent the first one from Blockbuster.
Do you want to tell Casey what Blockbuster is?
Oh my god, I know
I
what
think-
fucking Blockbuster is.
She's older than me, Greg.
Yeah, she once had to rent a Blu-ray there.
Oh,
They never had Blu-rays at Blockbuster.
I have so
Oh,
many
sorry,
Shane.
HD DVD.
Shane!
Blockbuster.
Laser discs.
But yeah, so then it was probably like I don't know, maybe a month or so later, I was like, oh, I'll pick up the books and start reading them. That was that.
Awesome. Zach, how about you?
All right, so Harry Potter, the original, the Philosopher's Stone, the Sorcerer's Stone, came out in 1998, and I was 3 years old at the time. And
Oh,
for-
god damn it.
for my entire conscious existence as a human being, Harry Potter has been a thing, and it's always been a part of my life. It's been a part of my life since before I could read, because I was listening to the audiobooks of it before I was actually capable of understanding words on a page. So it's been a thing for my entire life, and I can't really pinpoint like an exact moment or time where I was extremely into it. It was just there forever, and I always was really fond of it until it was done, and even afterwards. So yeah, I'm a big fan of the series, and it was definitely played a key role in getting me into reading and writing and everything like that. So.
Awesome.
That's so adorable.
Did you listen to it like as you were going to sleep? Your parents put it on or something, like bedtime story or
stuff.
Yeah, that's fun. I think that's like a lot of us with Star Wars. Kind of like we weren't there for the theater, but we grew up. It was just always around for us. So
yeah. Paul, how'd you get into Harry Potter?
Yeah, way back in 1998, but I wasn't 3. I was 12, almost 13. So, like Bing, I was about the age of Harry when he started. And it became my most favorite obsessive thing that I loved the most. And eventually, over the years, it kind of grew less and less. But I was still getting all the books when they were released on the day of and kept reading them. Yeah. And that carried on. So eventually, I grew older and older than Harry because the books didn't come out every year. So then, yeah, eventually it wasn't as a big part of my life. But back in the day, it was what I cared the most about.
Nice. And let's go to Shane, who is also here, who's East Texas Direwolf on the forums. Shane, how did you get into Harry Potter?
Let's see. Harry Potter seemed to blow up pretty big, pretty fast. I remember, I think in the span of about 2 years, I went from never hearing of it to them being the Order of the Phoenix just coming out, and all the other books were on the bookshelves, and the second movie was coming out. It seemed like it happened really fast. And I was initially a Harry Potter poo-pooer because it was blowing up really fast and everybody was into it. So naturally, I had to be a contrarian. But a friend of a friend had got the Order of the Phoenix. I remember it had that bright blue cover, and I picked it up and read it a little bit. And that's not too bad. And then I ended up watching the second movie, Chamber of Secrets, with my nephew. And I thought, oh, that's pretty good. There's a little something here. So I went back and started reading the first book and liked it and just read all the books and started watching the movies and became a fan.
Nice. Very nice. So my Harry Potter story is, I think it was 97 or 98, and my mother, read the New York Times book reviews, especially children's, religiously. So she picked up Harry Potter when it was filed under, stocked under R for Rowling, and there was one copy. So we might actually have the first edition. I'm not entirely sure.
Check the number line.
I know. It's somewhere in the house. It's not what I used to do this reread.
Are those worth a lot, Greg?
A UK first edition will go for $3,000-$4,000. US first edition.
Jesus.
What?
Unsigned, yeah. Because they were relatively they really didn't blow up until the third book. They were a smaller print run.
Yeah, so that was interesting because I was kind of able to follow it. I actually didn't read them initially. I for some reason didn't want to, but my younger sister did. And I was 11 or 12 at the time, and my sister got obsessed with them to the point where we knew someone who was going to England, and they had to get her a copy of Chamber of Secrets there because it wasn't out here, and Amazon really wasn't a thing as much. But then eventually I did read them. And
the third book was the first book that was released simultaneously in the US.
I don't think so. I think that was 4.
I thought it was 3 because I remember reading up on just the different pub dates. It might have been 4, but I was pretty sure.
Greg is a book owner, so
I wasn't back
you
then.
dare question the book owner.
But I remember having a British copy before other people had the American copy of 3. So you might be wrong, or I might be wrong. One of us might be wrong. If J.K. Rowling's publishers are listening to this, let us know.
Don't worry, I questioned Greg last night on Roman history, and he's from Rome, so.
I'm from Rome. I just read a lot of books about it.
He is actually the Emperor Claudius. Okay. So then I just, eventually I did read them, and also around that age, and fell in love with them, and just, they became basically my gateway drug into fantasy, because before that I was one of those ridiculous children who liked reading the historical fiction and nonfiction that was assigned in school.
You were correct, Michal. It was released July 8th, in the UK and September 8th in the US. So
Booyah!
3 months later.
In your face, Greg.
I just said you was
book
right.
owner.
Jesus Christ.
Throw a Kindle at her though, out of in anger.
Just a virtual Kindle.
You muggle.
Or no. I am a muggle. That's why I'm here.
He's a muggle. But he understands that he's a muggle. And really, we shouldn't be prejudiced against muggles. They don't know any better. You're welcome. Cool. So that's everyone. So I did want to go through our houses, but I think maybe we'll just do that when we get to the Sorting Hat chapter. So, Greg, would you like to start us off with chapter 1?
Sure. But when we get to the Sorting Hat, is someone going to act as the Sorting Hat, or are we going to say what the house is?
Someone. Michal, you want to be the Sorting Hat? Decide for us.
I could recite the poem if you want, but
It's the backup recorder.
Oh yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I personally always felt like this was a personal thing, sorting. So, yeah, I'll let everyone choose their own, unless they want to be chosen.
But no one wants to be in Hufflepuff, not even in the book.
Are you kidding me? I'm a Hufflepuff. I'll admit it right
think I
now.
would be a Hufflepuff.
Yeah, probably.
A load of duffers, as Hagrid says.
A load of duffers.
It's like most people probably would be, but like no one wants to be Hufflepuff. It's like,
But they described it as being pretty cool. I mean,
like yeah,
loyal and hardworking.
Super chill.
Okay.
Basically, they're the rest. Like, they're not
They're
so
the-
brave. They're not so
99%.
smart.
yeah.
That's exactly where I'm happy being.
They're good at cooking. They're like the surfers of the magical world. They just kind of chill and get stuff
Surfers.
done.
Right?
So there's actually a play in New York now called Puffs, and it's like a takeoff. It's like about the Hufflepuffs, like Harry Potter seen through the lens of Hufflepuffs, and it's just hilarious. So if
Sounds
you're
awesome.
I need
yeah,
to see
it's like
that.
off Broadway. It's so
Like, Real or what is it? Gilders? I can never say their names.
Guildenstern,
Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead.
oh, sort of.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like sort of like that. But anyway, yeah, take us away, Greg.
Okay. All right. Chapter 1, The Boy Who Lived. We meet Petunia and Vernon Dursley of number 4 Privet Drive, two anti-magic hardliners who have an adorable boy named Dudley. All of the streetlights on their street go out one night when a strange-looking man named Dumbledore and a talking cat named Professor McGonagall show up outside their house. We learn that the entire magical world is celebrating the victory of the defeat of Voldemort. I said it. Lily and James Potter are dead, but their infant son Harry somehow survived Voldemort and drove him away, although he was left with a lightning bolt-shaped scar on his forehead. Dumbledore has decided to leave Harry with his aunt and uncle, as the Dursleys are his only living family. Professor McGonagall quips that there will be books written about Harry. Every child in our world will know his name. After a short wait, Hagrid, a giant on a flying motorcycle, shows up carrying the infant Harry Potter. Dumbledore lays Harry on the Dursleys' doorstep as they depart. We are told that all around the world, all around the country, people are raising their glasses and making toasts to Harry Potter, the boy who lived.
So something that's really interesting to me about this chapter is that it's amazingly voicey and whatever, but it's like kind of boring. Like I know a lot of people who have like read or tried to read Harry Potter and they're like, oh, that first chapter like really is boring. And I don't know if that would work, like if a chapter like this would work nowadays, you know. But I personally just like love it. What did you guys think?
Um,
I'm not really crazy about the first few chapters of this book. I'll be honest. It takes a while to get going.
What?
Yeah, you know, I always say, like, to people who haven't read it, at least when I was younger and people hadn't read it yet, that the first book is hard to get through. It seems
When
it's
you were
slow.
younger.
Shut up. I was young when I read this, alright? But no, it is pretty slow. It's a lot of information. It's a lot of, I mean, it's kind of like how we did with the linear reread, how we talked about how, with A Song of Ice and Fire, how there's just so much information that you forget. And again, reading this, there's just so much information here to set the scene. It's almost a little bit too much to set the scene, I think. But, I mean, you know, this is my favorite series. I still love this book, so...
I think really, like, for me, what drew me in then and what still draws me in now is just the voice. Like,
Yeah.
even the first chapter just has so much personality in it, you know, and like, you know, Petunia with twice the normal amount of it's like she's telling you a story, and like I feel like there is that kind of intimate communication sense that is probably not going to work for everybody by any means, but for whatever reason it just really works for me.
I would almost say there's far more voice and personality in this first chapter than we really get in a lot of the following ones. It felt like there was a lot of intention and effort into putting that sort of feeling to it in this particular chapter, because it was the first one and it was introducing you to everything. It feels like you definitely hear the narrator talking to you very clearly in this one.
I think with every first chapter of Harry Potter, actually, every first chapter is very descriptive. Yeah. Actually, like even in 2, 3, 4. The very first chapter always has a similar sort of layout. You have there's much more attention paid to like describing the scenery, what the houses look like, and stuff like that. And as it gets more and more going, then it's much more focused on story events and stuff like that.
Yeah, it really wants to set you in the world and get you a feel for things. And since we're all here are Americans, how much of a cross-cultural thing do you feel that there was getting into it? Because a lot of it is distinctly English, so I wonder how much of it is feeling the kind of semi-exotic thing of, oh, this is England, and that's kind of like us but different, and also this is magical and we're not, and we wonder what that's like.
Disclaimer, I'm from Hong Kong.
But you're living in the States right now?
I'm living in the States right now, but when I was reading the books, I was mostly living in most of the time I was living in Hong Kong.
But you equally weren't from England.
That's true, but it was a former British colony, so there was a lot of things that are actually maybe foreign to Americans I picked up.
So like the slang and stuff, like you got a lot of that.
The slangs, and also owls and newts. I knew exactly what the owls and newts were the moment I read them, because I had to take the equivalent of them in the British examination system.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Oh, is that a thing?
It's real. Owls and newts are real. Every British kid had to take them. They're getting reformed now, so that in Hong
Kong, they weren't called owls and newts.
No,
obviously not. A-level examinations.
Right.
Oh yeah, we have to take those too. They're like the MCATs or whatever.
Yeah.
No, but those are usually much more.
And also, end of 5th year, 7th year, that's the British system. The middle school system, which is there 5 years. After 5 years, you take one exam, and then after 7 years, you take the second exam to go to university. That's also the British system.
Yeah, the thing with the States is like it's we have the SATs if you want to go to college, but you also have but a lot of our standardized tests are based off of the states, so it's different per everything.
Right.
Yeah, like that's I think to change now. But
no, I do agree with Paul that there are certain things that are still sort of exotic, and I think Rowling also plays it up a bit. The sort of the weirdness of the Dursleys and stuff like that.
It's very I mean, I definitely did feel that, like, just the idea of going to one school for 7 years that was an elementary school to me was just like, what do you mean you just
school?
You just go somewhere else for school at 11, a boarding school, and there's houses, and that's like a thing.
Yeah.
Like, to me, houses are as magical as any other part of it when it's
that is also foreign to me. That doesn't exist in Hong Kong.
That's supposed to be summer camp. That's just for summer camp.
Right.
Yeah, I always like that
Percy
part
Jackson.
of it
too. Yeah, and it doesn't make sense either, the whole system, but I don't know. We'll probably get to that.
Yeah. Wait, Shane, what did you say?
I was just gonna say I always thought that part was sort of part of the exotic part of it. Also, for me, was the going to a school for a whole year and houses and dormitories and all that at grade school level.
Yeah.
Well, like up here in Boston, like Harvard has like kind of like the houses, except it's like your dorm hall, and well, they just got rid of masters because apparently that's racist. But like they would have like inter-dorm contests and stuff like that to see who would win.
Yeah, and that's an old school British thing. At Harvard, it's a very old school. It's a private school as well, and it's the same motto as the British colleges. Say Oxford, Cambridge, they all have the same thing as houses, except they all have fancy names for those colleges, and they have their own identity.
Oh, I'm glad we settled that.
Yeah.
We talk about Harry Potter now.
Sorry.
So any other particular observations about the first chapter? I think Professor McGonagall wins my heart right away.
Whoever cast the movies did a fucking brilliant job.
It's Maggie
Like,
Smith.
Mr. Dursley is Mr. Dursley.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Mr. Dursley.
Yeah, the actor died.
He died?
The actor died. Yeah. The
Yeah.
actor died.
And the first Dumbledore.
And
Yeah.
First
he
Dumbledore
died
was
after
so good.
movie 2.
yeah.
I wanted to
creaking
say,
door.
Voldemort. Is that the? Are we agreed? Is that the official pronunciation with the T?
Going hard T.
Voldemort.
There was a hiss.
There's no R. It's like Voldemort.
Yes.
Voldemort.
So the movies, why do they pronounce it Voldemort? Don't they pronounce without the T?
Technically, it is
I think you get both, don't you?
Yeah, depends how French you feel.
yeah.
Yeah.
Don't say the name.
closer to France than we are, so they are just like they have to drop the T.
I mean, the part of it is the mort means death in French, right?
Right.
Yeah.
More means death.
But
And I think-
I'm pretty
and I
sure
think
they
in the
said
first
T's
stuff-
sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah,
like
in the
early
first
movies,
audiobook, they say that Voldemort like the French, but after the movie said Voldemort, it was like done. Like that was the pronunciation.
Movies messed everything up.
Seriously.
Damn adaptions, right?
Seriously. We basically just complain about the same things no matter what we're talking about.
Yeah.
We're
At least
extremely
J.K. was able to finish her books before the movies.
True story. But
No
yeah.
shade.
So any thoughts on, in the chapter we meet obviously Dumbledore, we meet McGonagall, we meet Hagrid, we don't really meet Harry. But any
Sirius Black.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
something that constantly impresses my dad, he always talks about this, is that he's so impressed that J.K. Rowling was able to seed Sirius Black in this early as a character.
Yeah. I love
I
that.
assumed that was going to come back and mean something later, just because
It
was
will.
a name that
Yeah.
stands out. But I have no idea who they are.
I mean, it's funny because the timing of the Potter's death is like kind of wonky because it was Halloween, so I don't know why, like, Dumbledore and McGonagall are like, well, see you later. Like, we haven't been around each other in a while, even though it's like technically the middle of term.
Right.
I mean, I guess
Right.
maybe Hogwarts at that point, like maybe the war was so
They were at
bad that
war.
Hogwarts was not really on. That's possible, but they both live there, so I don't know.
I assumed that Dumbledore was wandering around all over the place, and
Traveling.
McGonagall was the actual person running the school.
And that would kind of explain like the general like fucking stupidity of the Ministry of Magic currently. Like if there's like a few years there where no one was getting educated.
That's true.
That's a good point, actually. I never thought of that.
Does anybody else think it's a little odd that Hagrid is the
Well,
one...
I'm out.
What?
I said my smart thing.
Okay.
Show
Does
me.
anybody else think it was a little odd that Hagrid on a borrowed motorcycle is sent to fetch Harry Potter, kind of the most important thing there is, and Dumbledore's just walking around the street turning out the lights instead of going to get Harry himself?
Well, also, odd thing is that
You trust Hagrid.
Dumbledore talks about passing parties on the way to it, which, we don't know about apparition yet, but presumably he could just appear at number 4 Privet Drive, but he seems like he's like walking across the country to get here or something like that.
Well, maybe
Basically,
he
he
has
just
to check
takes a
in
lot
with
of his-
people, spread the word or something on the way,
He does seem like the type of guy who would want to know what people are up to, both stupidly and like reaction-wise.
And he's a party animal. It's
Oh,
off
yeah.
screen, but you know it.
And as we have talked around on the Dragoncasts, actually, he seems like a very irresponsible person, so it's not ridiculous that he didn't go to get Harry himself.
Well, I'm just curious, like, so the Potters were killed at night, right? And then baby Harry was just alone in the wreckage of the house for hours,
Basically,
even though they knew that this had happened. And, like, at one point, Dumbledore was like, okay, now go get him so we can drop him off at night. That's like...
Yep.
My brother says that it took Hagrid the whole day to fly across England, which I guess is possible, but that
I
seems
might be
weird.
remembering this wrong, and I don't want to bring up a spoiler, but isn't there something that happens in the 7th book that we find out that might explain that?
I
I
think
actually
there
haven't
is.
read the 7th book in so long that I don't remember.
Okay.
Well, what's his face goes to see like what happens, but he doesn't report back to Dumbledore, right?
I don't know.
Casey, take us away with chapter 2.
Alright, so we begin this chapter 10 years after the events of the first chapter, where Harry is still living with the Dursleys. It's obvious that the Dursleys pretend Harry doesn't exist, with no pictures of Harry in the house, and he lives in a cupboard underneath the stairs, and he basically is their personal maid and chef. Oh god, I can't talk today. Shit. Alright. Today happens to be Dudley's birthday. He's a spoiled brat, as he gets upset over there being less presents than last year. His parents resolve this by promising more presents because that's great parenting. To all the Dursleys' dismay, Harry has to go with them on Dudley's birthday excursion because he couldn't get a babysitter for Harry. On their way to the zoo, Harry recounts that some strange events have been happening to him, such as his hair growing at an extreme rate, which all seems pretty magical. They get to the zoo, and Harry seems to be having a pretty good day despite the morning, until they get to the reptile room, where Dudley and Harry encounter a snake. Dudley wants it to move, and it doesn't budge. Harry takes a look, and the snake suddenly seems to come alive, winks, and starts talking to Harry, and Harry doesn't think this is weird at all. Dudley then sees this happening and punches Harry out of the way to see it. Then all of a sudden, somehow the glass disappears and the snake escapes and is off to make the long journey across the pond to Brazil. Obviously, this is all Harry's fault, and the Dursleys send Harry to his room without dinner. Harry retrospects again to his bad memories of living with the Dursleys and trying to remember his parents, but only remembers a green light and his forehead hurting. And yeah, that's it. I have my note at the end that post reading Game of Thrones, Harry is surprisingly doing pretty good and has no issues despite having early life trauma, being adopted, having emotionally tormenting parents, bullies, and no friends.
Well, that's something I wanted to touch on, like the way that she writes about the things that the Dursleys do and that Dudley does. Like, it's almost, she writes it in a very light way where you almost, I think you're supposed to like laugh at it, but like it's fucking awful. It's not horrific. Like, it's written in a really light way, but it's horrifying. But like so many kids' books are focused on like awful parents die and they're sent to live with an evil cousin or something. But like this was like I couldn't even enjoy the like Dudley getting Harry getting a little payback with Dudley, because I'm like, he's basically being tortured to live with spiders, which terrifies me, and it's awful. And they let him as babysitter as some smelly cat lady that Dudley is
you're even supposed to enjoy, like, oh well, Dudley complains because he got like 1 million presents last year and he only got like 999,000 this year. You're like, yeah, dude, like that's supposed to be funny, but then when you take a second to think about it, you're like, oh shit, like that's.
But if it's
really
written
bad.
for like an 11-year-old, I guess an 11-year-old might chuckle at that. I don't know.
It reminds me of like Roald Dahl, like Matilda and stuff, where there's like Mrs. Trunchbull and all these people that are like the most evil people you've ever met, and then the kids kind of just overcome it and don't get bothered either way.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely and when Tony there is an exaggeration, I think, for sure, in the. I mean, this is like definitely not my favorite stuff. Like the craziness of the Dursleys and like the overblown, like how weird they are. But I do think that there's a certain amount of like the more the story becomes about Harry and Voldemort, which is obviously the ultimate conflict of the story. I think there is something to be said there about like the Dursleys beginning as this ridiculous, like absurd evil, and then, kind of the story.
In the scheme of things.
Yeah.
Oh, you're saying like how she tries to tie it back in to be like, oh, he really needed to be here. Not like I never liked that.
Well,
I think I thought she was saying that like as bad as the Dursleys were, it's like, it's like the Game of Thrones and then the Others invasion. It's like, no, there's a much greater evil out there that Harry needs to face, and it's not the Dursleys.
Yeah.
I think also that she writes this as Harry being just what we would want to be in those kinds of situations. Like,
oh, there's a ton of wish fulfillment.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize how much wish fulfillment there was.
It's because he's magic.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when you were 11, you were just like shooting it right into your veins. You didn't even notice.
Right. Yeah.
Which we see in this chapter.
I mean, as a kid reading this, and I mean by child I mean 11 or 12, I was always like, this is so cool that he's like going through all this crap and he can still be level-headed and really awesome, and it made me want to be really awesome too.
He's also super snarky, which is like, I mean, that's not the only thing that made me laugh, but like, adios, amigo, Brazil, here I come, made me laugh for like an hour when I was 11, and it made me laugh again when I was reading it this time, just because it's so random and out there, and like, I think she does have a very interesting way of kind of threading in her humor, where it's like, they'll just be like a funny thing happening in a random paragraph, you know, and that you kind of won't expect it, and she'll just move on. So it's very
offhanded.
Yeah.
Also, it's Spanish, a Portuguese-speaking country.
Yep.
Yes, but amigo is French. Is friend in Portuguese also, isn't
it? Is it?
But I don't know about
I looked it up. It's amigo's correct.
But what about adios?
Adios is definitely.
Technically, should have said ciao.
Adios, hello, or adios,
ciao,
goodbye.
amigos.
Well, either way, as we establish, the snake has never actually been to Brazil.
Was anybody else
He
shocked?
doesn't really know Spanish.
Right.
Did anybody else notice this time how huge that snake was? It said it could wrap around Uncle Vernon's car twice over. That was a gigantic snake that he let out.
Yeah.
Or a very small car.
I always imagine Uncle
This
Vernon
England-
had like a Buick.
So I have a crack theory. That
Wait, how are there still theories? Isn't it over?
no, well,
No,
Yeah.
actually.
It doesn't
Actually,
count.
it's
It's a
literally
play.
not even over.
no, it actually isn't. That's the weird part. But yeah, no. So slightly spoilerific, but whatever. I guess this is not vital. But you know Voldemort Snake?
Yeah.
You're right.
Could be this one.
Nagini?
It's not.
I know.
It's-
It's not.
I think
That's
that
not
was
Nagini.
no. I
That's
think
why
that
it's
was
the crack
definitely
theory.
I think it's
something
confirmed.
someone posed.
The big bad
at
guy
one
has a
point.
pet snake, really? No, great.
Yes.
Snakes are important, Greg.
He actually has kind of a weird relationship with the snake, to be totally
I think
honest.
that was like an Q&A with J.K. Rowling one time, where someone asked that.
Yeah. It's a cool idea for sure, but I this snake is so chill and nice. I'm
Oh, you don't know.
Maybe he corrupted it, right?
He did corrupt it.
Yeah, and Greg, I mean, suspend your disbelief here, but you actually can milk a snake.
I knew
So
that, actually.
get all that sexual stuff.
It's
I
real.
don't think you learn about that in the Harry Potter books.
It's in the fanfic.
Or do you?
What books did you read, man?
So
It happens in the fourth book where he's like, you must milk Nagini, or whatever, to like worm tongue.
That's fair.
Oh my
So-
gosh.
So
That's my Voldemort voice, by the way.
Nice.
Spot on.
So a thought I had when I was doing the reading for this was I almost wonder if the reason why the Dursleys are so awful is to justify how poorly Muggles are treated in the whole series, because Muggles kind of get a very short end of the stick in a lot of cases, and I think that
Yes.
by showing our main Muggle touchstone as vile and awful, it kind of lessens the blow of that.
Do you think so? Because like I feel like Muggles are better than wizards. I mean, wizards get like a fucking 11-year-old education, and then they start learning magic. It's like, okay, so I don't know how to read, but like I can transform a teacup into a mouse. What fucking good does that do you, like, in the real world? Like, I don't understand that.
They don't need the.
No, they are morons.
Did we ever find out the percentage of, like, is it like 1 in 100 people are magical, or is it like the vast majority of people are
Didn't she
non-magical?
come
or is
out
it
and say that there's only like 100
It's
people
like
at
no-
Hogwarts or whatever? At
Yeah,
any
the
given
whole
time?
math doesn't make sense.
This
There can't be
comes
many.
up in the flying chapter, the Midnight Duel. There's 20 kids in Harry's year, including Slytherin and Gryffindor. And I did the math, and I think, it's either 280 or 360 total at Hogwarts. If that's an
and
average.
that can fluctuate, right? But
I
you
think it's
also have to
280.
account, like they say later on, that there are some
So
people
it'd be
that,
280, yeah.
like some people choose to educate their kids at home, like, which is not super common. But also they have one market they go to. They have one school they go to.
It's not like
the whole
magic schools in every county.
Yeah, they have one town. They have one, like, it's not. In England,
Well,
at least.
we
It's
don't
not.
Well, there are
actually know.
multiple magic schools.
Yeah.
Not in
different
England.
countries.
Yeah, in France and in Russia.
Yeah, in America, maybe.
And now with the new ones, there will be ones all over the world.
It's called Ilvermony or something like that. I don't even know.
Of course.
I don't know.
No, I do think like one of the things I do like as weird as I think sometimes the treatment of Muggles is, I do like that wizards are idiots frequently, and like she calls them out on it, and like it's kind of not something that's actually practically dealt with. It's sort of just like, well, that's the way it is, but I think that is a theme that you can see through the story for sure. Emphasized by.
Do wizards go to no school until they're 11? They just stay at home and
they
don't
just
go to
stay at home. They're not allowed to use magic or anything.
Oh, so they have that.
Wow.
They know how to read.
Matt, you're
I don't know what
robotic.
you said, but it was hilarious. That sounded a little bit like a robot.
Hey, backup recorder, get off the call.
Okay,
sorry,
my
Doc.
bad.
A little bit.
Ugh.
Oh, we heard the.
Oh. So how do they know how to read?
Well, I think that they teach them basic stuff like that, obviously, but they seem pretty helpless because like their laundry, everything you do is via magic, right? Which like the whole currency system in this world is something I want to talk about in my chapter, but yeah.
Wait,
They
the magic
don't understand
currency
how
is
plugs work.
Like English currency. Sorry.
No, but just like the need for currency in the first place, like, you know, like the fact that there are quote unquote poor magic people when you can just magic basically anything you need unless you're really terrible at it.
There'd
like
be crazy inflation. You can't just print.
Come
money.
on, the nuts and the
no,
galleons
you
and
can.
stuff, that all makes perfect
I mean,
sense.
you can, but you shouldn't.
No, but I mean, like, not that. I mean, like, they use their money to buy magical stuff from other magical people, right? So you buy a magical device from a guy who's good at it. I get that. But, like, every wizard should be like, well, I have a mansion, and I have everything I could ever want as far as, like, human conveniences.
Yeah. Could Harry spend his wizard gold at a bank, or they'd be like, what the fuck is this? This is... Who's
Oh
marketing?
no!
There is a moment where they
gold is gold.
There is a moment where they exchange Muggle currency for wizard
Yeah.
currency. That happens.
Well, but also there is a class system in
Yes.
the wizard world. Like the Weasleys are poor as fuck compared to.
Because they're Catholic and don't use protection, obviously.
Irish Catholic.
No comment.
But that's my point. Is like you really shouldn't have like if you're a poor and you're a magical person, you should be someone who basically just like can't get a spell to work. So no, like so then you're just a bum. But like, you can't go to the real world because you have no marketable talent.
And then
Like
there's
that. But like if you can use magic, you shouldn't be poor.
well, there's the squibs.
Right.
Yeah, they learn
Yeah,
to
the
live in the
squibs.
real world. The squibs do.
But it
They do
seems
learn.
like sometimes, like you think the food just appears on the trays, right, in the first book, but you find out in later books that they actually make the food. The elves do.
Well, the elves do.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it comes from
somebody has to make
somewhere.
it.
It's not
At
just,
Hogwarts, but
I'm pretty
like
sure you can't just be like, here's a sandwich, out of nothing.
Don't you guys
it
listen to
comes from
Hermione
somewhere.
and the 7 Laws of Transfiguration? Come on,
I was
guys.
gonna say, isn't that they can't make food or drink?
Wait,
Exactly.
There's elves.
but-
There's elves.
Hermione was very clear on this point.
You're
They
out.
would never buy butterbeer if they could make it themselves.
But
Oh
like
my God,
Mama
Greg.
Weasley doesn't
Sacred?
seem to do that much work.
Jesus.
Like
I'm just really excited to hear Greg coming from the Silmarillion to read about
I
Harry
assume
Potter
these are not
elves.
like 6 foot tall regal elves
Nope, very
with,
different.
Very different.
swords and songs and millions of years of history.
No,
They're like Santa elves, kind of.
I
yeah.
vaguely remember some little guy running around trying to get a sock or something from the second movie. I don't know.
remember when Gollum was like this really cool CG and stuff? Yeah, they had their version of that.
Although it would be hilarious if Tolkien elves were making Harry Potter food under the castle.
They're very disdainful about it, but they're still doing it.
But they're really respectful, and they know their ingredients.
Oh, man.
As long as the E's not capitalized, they'll be fine. If they're just lowercase.
This is how the Lord of the Ring ends.
Right. Greg, wait until we get to spew.
I don't like spew already. I don't like that word. I don't like the image that I get in my head.
Oh, no.
Let's
Oh,
say
all right.
get politically complicated. and has had some real world consequences for me, actually. But anyway, chapter 3 is called The Letters from No One. Varley has not provided us a synopsis here, but I'm going to assume that he has one.
Don't worry, I'll wing it.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a great chapter. You don't even need a script. Come on.
Right. So the mail comes, and Harry gets a letter, and he never gets anything. So it's all very like, and Dudley was like, "Oh, what's that letter?" And the Dursley opens it up. He reads it. He's like, "Oh fuck!" Rips it up and then throws it away. And Harry's like, "That was mine." So the next day, like, 2 letters come. They're both addressed to Harry in the cupboard under the stairs, and Dursley throws them out. And then more letters and 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 more letters. And then they leave. And then they leave. They try to escape the letters, and they keep on finding them wherever they go, like at a motel, whatever. They end up in a little shack on a rock in the middle of the ocean, and they still get the letters, and all of a sudden, during a big storm, they hear a knock on the door. That's it.
Yes, indeed. Also, I just want to say, for the benefit of Zach and Casey, letters are what you used to get in place of email.
See, I didn't get
Remember that
part,
person
but
that
thank
brings
you
you
for clarifying.
packages? They used to bring you pieces of paper.
Yeah, and
And-
it's like physical email.
I was so
Here goes
confused.
Greg on a postman rant.
I'll save it, Paul.
Is that a rule 6? Rule, I don't know.
You guys can go talk
the
about
thing that was
email.
actually-
We don't know all the rules.
I invoke Rule 7.
A couple of them. It was Rule 7 of the Laws of 8. I've been over this
The Laws of
several
8.
times.
The part of it that was actually a little bit hard to grasp for me, and I assume this is, I know this.
Well,
I
I
guess
know what you're gonna say.
Trying to figure out what
putting the milk out. Yeah, the putting
Yeah.
the milk out was.
I know all the VCR references.
No, I know what a
Oh, come
VCR
on.
is. I know what a VCR is.
No, I was being serious. It's like I haven't heard of a VCR in 10 years, and they mentioned it in 3 chapters in a row.
Yeah,
I
I
know
know what
how to
that
use
is.
What
the
is
VCR
what
better
does
than my
Mr.
parents.
Dursley? What does Uncle Vernon do? What's his job? I don't
He
know.
works for a drill company.
Right. So, but it doesn't say what he does at the company.
He seems
Like
like
he's
a
in orders or
salesman.
something, acquisitions or something.
Sales or something. Yeah, because no
Yeah,
one
he
in
was
his
about to
family
make
is
a
very
huge
smart.
drill deal.
Middleman.
They know about magic, and clearly something magical is happening, and he just tries to run from it.
Basically.
Because they think they can. Like, they don't believe in magic the same. Well, certainly not he doesn't. I think Petunia might, but
Fucking
he doesn't.
muggles.
Yeah, I had a question about that. Like, do we know, because it opens in the first chapter where they don't know that, like, Petunia's sister is dead, and they seem very anti-magic already. The fact that, like, do you think that Petunia at least blames them for, like, the death of her sister, or she couldn't care less, like, going forward?
She doesn't care.
Okay. So
Snicker, snicker, snicker.
What
She doesn't
I don't-
care, but there are some. There is treated with a little more depth later on.
Yeah.
because Vernon seems to, like, he's like, I'm not listening, but, like, he seems to he know more than he's choosing to ignore everything. Where
Yeah.
He also
there might
rapidly
be a
descends into clinical insanity. So
Yeah, I mean, he knows about magic, and he tries to run away from this, but what's his plan? Is if he keeps Harry from going to this school and learning about magic, he just wants to keep him for
I know,
years
like,
and
why
then throw him on
would
the
she want to
street?
get rid of him? Yeah.
Like, yeah, I don't really understand. I guess he was sending him to a cheapo, or no, he was going to public school. He wasn't even going off anywhere, right?
Right,
Yeah,
where
but I
he would
think
get his
actually-
head flushed.
Yeah, which was another amazing line. No, but I think for one thing, I feel like the Dursleys might be the type of people who like to have stuff to complain about. You
Yes.
know, I mean, you kind of get that sense from the first chapter, right? Like, he's just, like, upset by anything that isn't, you know, totally normal. So Harry, as much as they
Yeah.
hate him, would be kind of right up their alley for that.
There's too much lettuce in his salad at the restaurant.
Yeah, or too little lettuce. It's too interesting, the salad. It's too tasty. Yeah, but I don't, yeah.
I think Vernon Dursley is kind of a joke of a character,
Yeah.
but Petunia is much more interesting, and she gets much more interesting. She's already kind of interesting in this chapter and the next one already, but she gets more interesting.
Yeah, Vernon is definitely kind of the avatar of all things kind of mundane evil.
Yeah.
At least in the movies, like the actor portraying him does a really good job of just making him enjoyable to watch.
Oh,
in
yeah.
the book, it's like
Yeah, he's very
Though-
distasteful in the book.
It's interesting though in this chapter. I find myself kind of rooting for him because he's messing everything up for Dudley, right? Because he's going out all these ways that are ruining everything for Dudley because he gets mad at Dudley for trying to see the letter, and then he takes him away from his TV and his sweets and everything, and for some reason, like, obviously he's not in his right mind and he's still trying to screw Harry ultimately, but it also fucks things up for Dudley. So for some reason I'm like, yeah, keep doing that. Keep doing
Collateral
that.
damage.
I also, to be like just exactingly fair, I would buy the idea that Vernon Dursley really thinks that he is in danger from magical forces.
Why?
and a shotgun's gonna fix
Because-
that.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're danger, like, I guess they're ultimately uncontrolled, and they have, like, all this power. I mean, Hagrid does kind of hurt
Yeah.
Dudley,
Well,
Oh,
they,
he didn't hurt him.
Yeah, he has to get surgery later. Like, he doesn't even fix it. No one comes by to fix that.
Well, he tried to turn him into a pig, and he just failed. If he had actually turned him into a pig, then what are you going to do?
But he's like, yeah, like he's
sad.
totally outside the law, renegade over here, and he's like, hey, I ain't telling nobody I did that. Let's get out of here. Like,
Yeah, but Vernon's never he never vocally worries about being hurt. He just vocally worries about, oh, those weird people. People will think we're weird. He never verbalizes.
they're
or
gonna think you're
internally.
weird if you disappear, and with all the owls, and I don't know.
I don't know. I think his behavior, like we have to run away behavior, speaks to me like somebody who, yeah, it's definitely motivated by, like, idiocy and hatred, but is also feels for all those stupid reasons that he and his family are in danger.
And since Greg's gone, what the fuck was he doing in the last book not running away? Like, he's like here he's like, oh my god, we gotta run away. And, like, after knowing shit, and it's like, oh, you can find him anywhere. He's like, no, it's a big lie. You want the house. It's like, what? Like, the man is obviously stupid.
I think by that
He's
point...
like half a Vogon.
Yeah. I think by that point he's senile and just completely out of his loop.
Well, I mean, that too, though, but that too is like, I mean, I feel like there's different degrees of, like, giving into this bizarre reality, right? Like, we hear of different reactions from different people, different muggles, when they're exposed to this kind of thing, but it usually doesn't go super well, and it's not like, I don't know, there's not a lot of understanding there, so I could see, I don't know. I mean, we'll talk about it, assuming that we eventually get to 7, but I feel like you could explain that away as somebody being really, yeah, just like nope, just like capital letters, nope on the whole situation, whether or not that's justified.
Someone incredibly in denial.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
I suppose.
Cool. So, this chapter has also another joke that I love, which is Harry Potter, the smallest bedroom.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. H. Potter, the floor. Yeah. Anyway. Cool.
How do you think? So, just a question. How do you think that they know where he's living at a given time? Are they, like, scrying him or something?
Magic.
I know magic. Okay, so it's just magic. Is there, like, any context for that? Do we know?
Yeah, because the Ministry of Magic is tracking him all the time.
Right. Because so they have some kind of tracker.
Oh, I
Well,
guess
it doesn't seem like all the time, but
No,
No, underage magic.
yeah, underage magic.
So,
but that's
is,
only if he
that's
uses
like-
magic.
Yeah, that's like a radar thing that pings if you use magic.
Right.
I always kind of
They
thought.
also have a voyeur spell just watching him, everything he does.
But okay, so this is getting into
Bathroom.
this is getting into spoiler stuff, but Greg will not understand what I'm saying anyway. So
He's not
So-
here.
Oh, is he not? Okay, so
I'm here.
isn't there a Fidelius charm on the house?
It's something like that.
They got
No.
they got some kind of magic protection.
Yeah, they
No, it's her mother. It's his mother's spell, right?
Yeah.
Right.
No,
that's some magic.
no, it's
There's extra
it's
stuff to
something
it.
that, yeah, it's something that Dumbledore did, but it has to do with blood.
Oh, it's so cute, you nerds all arguing about made-up stuff.
Anyway, it's not too important, but I thought there was some kind of like camouflage that even the Ministry of Magic would not be able to punish.
Matt didn't even do his geek voice. He didn't.
Yeah, the letters are coming from Hogwarts, so I assumed it was Dumbledore.
Dumbledore's doing. Yeah, and Dumbledore just has some weird magic that lets him know where Harry is all the time.
But they also knew that the Dursleys were not gonna let him go this easily. It's kind of unclear exactly how shitty they were, how aware they were of how shitty the Dursleys are, because Hagrid's authorized to I'm pretty sure that standard Muggle-born children don't get this kind of reception, but Hagrid's authorized to do all this magic and go get Harry and all this stuff, and he's so special, and then but then it's also he's not really that's not, I don't know.
Why didn't Dumbledore just show up and be like, by the way, would you like a watchtower? And Harry's coming to Hogwarts. Why
because
all the theatrics?
He was recruiting Hermione.
At a booming knock on the door of the hut, Uncle Vernon rushes into the room with a rifle pointing at the door and shouts that he's armed. But the door is broken down by a giant man with shaggy hair and tangled beard who strides into the hut, calls Uncle Vernon a great prune, and bends his rifle into a knot. The giant produces a slightly squashed box that he gives to Harry, which turns out to have a chocolate cake with Happy Birthday Harry written on it. Harry is stunned and asks the giant who he is, and the giant introduces himself as Rubeus Hagrid, keeper of keys and grounds at Hogwarts. There's a cool illustration, by the way, of the keys in the illustrated Harry Potter. Harry is stunned and asks the giant who he is, and the giant introduces himself as Rubeus Hagrid, keeper of keys and grounds at Hogwarts. Hagrid then feeds a starving Harry, but is shocked to realize Harry has never heard of Hogwarts. Hagrid becomes furious that Harry knows nothing at all about his parents, and despite Uncle Vernon interfering, he tells Harry he is a wizard and finally gives Harry his Hogwarts letter. He then sends an owl to Dumbledore, telling him he'll take Harry to Diagon Alley to buy his school supplies. Uncle Vernon declares Harry won't be going to Hogwarts, but Hagrid says a great muggle like him can't stop it. Harry realizes they knew Harry was a wizard all along. Aunt Petunia goes on a rant and screams that of course they knew because Lily had received her letter and gone off to become a witch, and her parents had been so proud of her. Then she met James and married him and then gotten herself blown up. When Harry asks why they had told him his parents had died in a car crash, Hagrid just gets angrier because Harry doesn't know his own story, but every kid in the magical world does. Hagrid tells him about the dark wizard Voldemort, who started looking for followers around 20 years ago and managed to become very powerful. The only person he was ever afraid of was Albus Dumbledore. Eventually, he went after the Potters and killed both Lily and James, but when he tried to kill Harry, something went wrong. Harry got his scar, and Voldemort disappeared. At this, Harry remembers something other than the flash of green light, a high, cold, cruel laugh. Hagrid tells him how he took Harry out of the ruined house and brought him to the Dursleys. Uncle Vernon steps in and says they always knew the Potters would come to a sticky end. Hagrid threatens him with his pink umbrella and terrifies him. Harry asks Hagrid whether Voldemort is dead, but Hagrid reckons he's alive, but just too weak to do anything. Harry is still skeptical and asks Hagrid if he's sure about Harry being a wizard. Hagrid asks him if he's ever made anything happen when he was scared or angry, and Harry remembers the times he was chased by Dudley's gang and the time at the zoo. But Uncle Vernon is still insistent that he won't pay for Harry to be taught magic by a crackpot old fool. But insulting Albus Dumbledore is the last straw for Hagrid, and he curses Dudley, and Dudley appropriately grows a curly pig's tail. Hagrid asks Harry to keep this to himself, as he's not been allowed to do magic since being expelled from Hogwarts. When Harry asks why he was expelled, Hagrid is evasive and tells Harry to get some sleep because they'll have to be up early the next day. That's it.
So, backstory. We get it. Some of it.
Not too much.
Yeah.
Just a tip.
Hagrid says, shut up and wait for the second book.
And the third and the fourth and the fifth and the sixth and the seventh.
Yeah,
Weird how that
J.K.
works.
Rowling needed to make sure that there was something to look forward to. These books weren't guaranteed to make much money, so.
Who thinks Hagrid's kind of a dick for cursing Dudley instead of Vernon? But he's having the argument with Vernon, and then despite him, he curses his kid. That seems like kind of a dick move on ReRead.
In retrospect, yes,
Yeah.
that is a dick move.
Yes.
Agreed.
To be fair, he probably was
Yeah,
trying to curse Vernon, but
Hagrid
because he's
has
Hagrid,
issues.
it's just hit the kid instead.
I don't know. He says he was trying to turn him into a pig. So I don't know how much benefit of the doubt to give Hagrid in this case.
Hagrid is a morally great character.
We know
Rowling
Dudley.
writes really great characters.
We know Dudley sucks, but Hagrid just met him and he just kind of was sitting there hiding.
I mean, it is the best way to totally scare all three of them. Like, if he did that to Mr. Dursley, it probably wouldn't have been as effective. Not saying it's a good thing at all, completely. But it hits the hardest.
That's true. And I mean, it's actually talking about, like, just cultural differences. I'm just thinking back to, like, I wonder how that reads, like, Vernon's gun reads in England as opposed to the U.S. Because
Well, I just heard it in Texan, and I don't think it was it would go down in Texas at all.
You heard it in Texan.
actually, it happens to be, Shane, your accent is, like, the second best to hear this story. And the first is, like, totally British, but the second is definitely that.
I was surprised he had a gun, actually.
Yeah.
Where'd he get it?
From that creepy dude who sold them the boat, I guess?
Yeah,
Oh, all English people hunt for grouse in the fields, don't they? They all have guns, right?
Last
With
time
their
they were
blunderbuss?
illegal.
Yeah,
No, it's just a highborn.
I've seen Downton Abbey.
Oh,
Not
it's
rabbits.
too good.
I wondered. So, I mean, what would have happened if Dursley had just shot Hagrid? Would he have been fine?
I imagine so.
Yeah.
I think so.
Like, dragons and stuff can bite Hagrid, and he just shrugs it off. Maybe not full-grown ones,
The
but
giant's blood. Yeah, I suppose.
Is he actually, like, not human? He's not just
He's
a
half
big person.
giant. He's half
Yeah.
giant.
There's another race of beings.
Spoilers.
It's not a big important
He's
thing.
part Marmondil or something. Ugh.
What?
This is part Marvin.
Marmondils. That's like the old giant weird people from, like, Old English mythology.
He's part Marmont.
Maybe he's Mormon also. I don't know. I'm sure
Mormon?
he's hairy. Not Mormon. Mormont. Like the bear. Yeah, he's
Ah.
like a Mormon too. He's a Mormon. He's a hairy Mormon.
is that like hillbillies?
That's not stereotypical.
Ah, we're just hitting home runs tonight. Oh my god.
Do not listen if you're offended by anything.
Oh man. For a series of books that promotes tolerance, yeah, we're doing well. Anyway, it's funny enough, I can't think of that much to say about this chapter. I guess because, like, it's so elemental to what happens that we get it fleshed out later a lot, like many more times. So it's kind of like this is just the beginning of the story.
This chapter makes me hungry.
I was just about to
Yeah.
get my ice cream, my VOK ice cream break, but I think I'll wait a minute.
Because of
remember-
Hagrid's pocket sausages that he just pulled out and
Yeah,
cooked
those
up for us.
pocket
Yes, they
sausages.
seem
really gotta
delicious.
go.
Adam, take it away with Diagon Alley.
So let's see. The next morning, Harry wakes up and thinks it's all been a dream. Convinces himself that none of it's real. He hears the tapping and thinks it's his aunt. And then when he realizes that it's actually Hagrid and everything was real, an owl arrives and Hagrid tells Harry that he has to pay for it, and he's kind of confused by owls delivering things, but it's kind of cool. He explains that they got to go buy some school supplies and get some shit done, and they're off. They're on a boat. They get back to shore, and of course this half-giant dude wandering around wearing awkward clothes. People are staring at him. They take the train to, I think it's a train to London, right? And explain a lot of the stuff he's going to need, and just normal school stuff mostly, and then, wands and other magical stuff like that. They get to London, and they make their way to the Leaky Cauldron, which is a spot that we will come back to many times. Let's see. Everyone knows who Harry is. He walks in, and Hagrid, I think, is kind of enjoying this, just, being a little bit of the celebrity, introducing Harry around. He meets Professor Quirrell for the first time, who is just kind of a really awkward dude who apparently is somehow a teacher. He went on he is the Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher and like the worst choice, which will make sense someday. And yeah, he explains that Professor Quirrell he went on a magic about around the world, and he like went into the Black Forest and saw some shit and came out not so good. So not cool.
I love that the thing Hagrid says about Quirrell is, "Oh, brilliant mind."
Yeah, brilliant
Like he
mind,
knows.
shattered to pieces.
When was he brilliant?
Right, exactly.
Before.
You don't know him when he was young.
Before, yeah, you didn't know him when he was like out to conquer the world, and instead got attacked by like vampires or something.
But they had like a long list of like people that kind of fucked up in that position, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a big thing later.
They have never had one for more than a year.
It's
Many years.
It's a rotating position. So anyway, Hagrid does his cool little move where he taps on the wall in a brick wall in an alley behind the leaky cauldron, and the wall opens up and reveals Magic Alley, known as Diagon Alley. And they walk down. There's all these cool shops, and Harry's noticing brooms and stuff everywhere, and it sounds like a wonderful place. And they make their way to the bank because Harry got to get him some coin to pay for shit. And there, of course, the goblins run the bank, which I'm sure Greg will say never really made much sense, but that's okay. It's terribly magical. They have to get a key after showing a letter to the people of the bank, bureaucracy. And then they take a rail car like miles down into the earth or something, which also probably doesn't make sense, but whatever. It's all magical. And they get some stuff, and we see a mysterious vault where Hagrid picks up something, and we also see this gigantic fortune. Like Harry's parents got really rich, really young somehow, and did not leave any of it for his caretaking, which is a little weird, but okay. Because I think you back up, a suitcase full of money, and Uncle Dursley's given him a room at least. But
Well, they put it for his magical caretaking, not his muggle caretaking, right?
yeah, but I mean, what would it have taken? Like three or four, pieces of gold to make a huge difference. Anyway, afterwards, Harry goes to buy robes at Madame Malkin's. He's getting fitted, and he meets a really racist young boy who just is okay, kind of cool with him because he's not really sure. It's like it's racism, but you can't tell by looking at people, what their parentage was in this world. So you still got to play it cool, and you just make racist comments until you figure out whether or not. Yeah.
Classism.
It's until you figure out whether or not how they were born and all that. If they're evil enough for you, I guess. Let's see. Afterwards, Hagrid explains a bit about the houses and how Voldemort was in Slytherin, and also so was everyone else who was ever evil. So really, that should just be a house full of prisoners that never get to leave. But we'll get to that.
All for what most of them did.
But if no one from any other house ever goes bad, which is not true, we find out. But if that were true, then obviously, what? You can just say sacrifice for the betterment of society,
Drop
right?
them off a cliff like Spartan.
For
the
greater good.
Slytherin, goodbye. Yeah. So maybe you can, I don't know. Maybe you have them run the prison for you. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, so Hagrid buys Harry an owl, which is pretty cool. And
I did like
Hedwig.
I like Hedwig.
Yeah.
I like Hedwig.
I don't know where Hagrid just
she dies
spending money.
What?
You assume.
Oh,
Anyway.
Hedwig's fine.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's definitely cute. He buys in the owl, which, I mean, Harry had all the money in the world. He probably could have bought it. I mean, for all we know, Hagrid's using Harry's own money to buy this. But anyway, let's see. Afterwards, they go to the wand shop, Ollivander's, and Ollivander his real gift is remembering absolutely everyone. And he remembers Harry's parents and what they got, and what they look like, and he remembers what everyone got, and how many inches everything is, and
yeah, a lot of phallic imagery in this chapter.
Yes, he's a very
size doesn't matter.
We won't go into it, but yeah, it's how you totally how you use it.
It's how you flick the wand.
Right. Because he's actually not very good at this. His whole job, I've always thought this. His whole job is he says the wand chooses the wizard, so he doesn't really do anything. And I think he makes a lot of the wands, right?
Yeah.
Well,
Yes,
he
that's
makes
the
the
thing.
wands, and also it's not like the wands are gonna like fly out from the shelf and be like, "My wizard," you know.
No, but like he's been doing this for so long, and he knows exactly what everyone like. He's just got the feel for it, right? He remembers everything, but like he goes through basically all the wands in the building before he finds one for Harry, and maybe because like that one he just never pulls out, maybe because of what it is. But yeah,
Well, maybe
it
he
takes
doesn't
him a long
want to pull
time.
out his wand for every young man that walks into his.
I think
Can't-
he
I
actually
think he
does want
regretting
to.
success with this reread.
I think he does
Can't
want
pull out
to.
that special wand. Ooh, yeah,
Wow.
Phoenix.
Well, there is some
Yes.
element of it's related to size a little bit, like height.
Related to height. Yeah.
Oh boy.
They gotta measure them.
They leave, and like this is one of the things that like in the movie I think is nice because they abbreviate things. But yeah, they leave, and Hagrid's like, well, it's your birthday, and it's time to go back and wait with your horrible family that I just traumatized until it's time to go to school. So yeah, that's kind of silly, but
This whole chapter in the movies is probably my favorite part of all the movies. Just like seeing the sequence of Harry buying everything and going through Gringotts and stuff.
And seeing Diagon.
so like that's very telling. You're like, my favorite chapter is buying school supplies.
Shopping.
Wow.
Ooh, look at those fresh quills.
Woof.
It's good in
It's
the
like
book
the
too,
best-
and
Was that
ever.
was that shade, Adam?
it's not just the fact that it's shopping, but this is our first moment where we really get into the magical world, obviously, and it's obviously a huge emotional upswing because Harry's life has been shitty for so long, and all of a sudden, we know he has money, we know he has a future, and we know all this cool stuff is going to happen.
And he's
so
famous. It's
There's-
definitely like.
there's a
you know,
reason why it's exciting.
Every
No,
kid's
some-
dream.
Some of my favorite scenes in the book was like when he was talking about how he was just walking down the street one day and that guy like just stopped and shook his hand. And obviously there's a story that we don't know, but I like getting the bar scene where like everybody lines up and congratulates him and everything.
Isn't that guy Daedalus Diggle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For some reason, like I can't remember like stuff that's related to my studies stuff. I can always remember Daedalus Diggle.
That alliteration she does with
that
everything.
sticks in your
Memorable.
mind.
It's
Yeah.
not even an important character. He shows up like once or twice every single book.
Okay, I have a serious problem with this chapter though, and there are some things about this that really bother me.
Gringotts?
No, it's actually not that. It's the weird expendability of dragons, but unexpendability, but comparative like exotic rareness of dragons. Like that woman who's like, oh, they're selling dragon liver for 17 sickles an ounce or something like that, and it's like, you eat dragon liver? Like
I
you have
assumed it was for
dragon
a
high
potion or
gloves
something.
all the time?
Yeah.
Even so, that
Yeah.
means they're killing
Look,
dragons.
Yeah.
No, but if
Heartstrings
a
and
dragon
dragons are
dies
the
of
one.
natural causes, it's your job to make sure that you utilize every part of the dragon, right?
Like the buffalo.
Yeah.
But who gets the heartstrings?
I always think that it's kind of like, like
Ollivander.
People on you know how you have people on the
Yes,
street
He's an
that
expert at the heartstrings.
I forget what I was gonna say.
You're saying you have people like hawking
Sorry,
stuff on the
Casey.
street.
Yeah. Like I always felt like, while Diagon Alley is super cool and stuff, like there's probably some fake people selling fake shit around.
But that's
Like
Nocturne
Douglas.
Alley. Come on.
That's a Nocturne Alley.
I think that the if
Greg, that's a real name, by the way. Nocturne Alley is the bad alley.
that's the
And so
that's
is
the Dark Alley.
Mundungus. I didn't just
Again.
make that up.
Again,
assumed
if
you
you
were
want to
making
stop the trade of the literal black magic market, just go shut down all of those shops. They're all in one place for you conveniently. Anyway, I think the dragon thing, because they say that later on, like they mentioned how they have to wipe people's memories, and it's really a pain to keep normal people from seeing dragons all the time. Like, so they're protected, but they're also kind of a pest. And I think maybe that's why you're not allowed to breed them, because like
Yeah, it could be.
it risks their world. So it wouldn't surprise me if like the dragon population is kept at strict numbers.
Well, they do.
Don't
They are
say-
out in the wild.
Don't they say the same thing about giants? As like every like mountaineer's death is probably a giant, but they just put it up to like he fell off a glacier or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are
That's
wild
right.
dragons.
Doesn't Charlie Weasley have something to do with dragons and keeping
Yeah,
them?
Yeah,
Yeah.
He's a dragon.
He's like
He's in like
Yeah.
Hungary.
Yeah.
Right?
But what I'm saying is, like, maybe, like, people are selling dragon livers, but it's kind of like dragons are the equivalent to, like, elephants.
Guys, Hungaria is not even a place.
Not.
Slow down. You were so quick to correct him with the right country, you didn't realize he made up a country.
You know.
Oh boy. We also have to remember that these books take place in the 90s, like early 90s, late 80s. Like what's the actual timeline? Someone probably knows that.
It's like 91 or something.
It's before the book, like before
well, it's
they're
like
published.
the mid 90s to the mid 2000s.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, that's when they were published.
Dates in the books?
Yeah, but
No, but, like-
it takes place in the early 90s, right?
Yeah.
Well, they have a dude's 500-year anniversary party, so then you can backdate it to get it properly.
Yeah,
I think they end before the year 2000. I don't think they the story proper finishes.
I think they might end in 97 actually. But
I thought Harry was born like 81 July 31st.
That's right.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So
then we cover 17 years.
That's such a weird. Why would she set it 10 years just because she was writing it that time?
Well, maybe because that was the world she had in mind, and also if you keep in mind, like as she's writing this, let's say a book comes out in 2005, and people just assume that's when as far as the regular world, like everyone having a cell phone camera and like cameras everywhere, like it would be a lot harder to keep the whole magic thing under wraps than it would have been like 20 years ago.
Or maybe she was just trying to screw Zach and Casey and be like, listen, this takes place way before you were born.
VCRs.
Oh, yeah, so many years before.
Because I think they mentioned like a Nintendo,
Dudley
Super
gets a
Nintendo or
PlayStation or something, doesn't he?
At some point, I think.
We also got a camcorder, I believe, so that was weird.
Yeah.
Going back to the Leaky Cauldron thing, my favorite part obviously is Doris Crockford coming back for handshakes over and over.
Yeah. She knows what she wants, Doris Crockford.
That's what
so Zach, a leaky cauldron is a cauldron that may have a crack in it.
Okay. So the leaky cauldron is in our world, right? That's like a regular.
The entrance to it is. But I think it's
Muggles
enchanted so that people don't. I think they can see it, but it's enchanted so that no one goes near it. Like they just ignore it.
It's all in our It's all in our world. There's no like alternate dimension that they're going to. It's just all hidden and obscured by illusions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, later on, there's like some playing with like weird space-time stuff, right?
No, not really.
No, not really.
Like the black, is it there?
Yes.
Well,
like that you go inside of a
book.
tent. You go inside of a tent that looks like it's about 6 feet, and it's
bigger on
actually
the
the size of a
inside, that sort of
house, and things like that. And like the hiding of the houses seems like maybe they're hidden in some sort of like pocket space.
Bigger on the inside. It's an English thing.
Mm-hmm.
It is. Yeah.
Or maybe they just disguise the outside so it looks smaller.
The Doctor's real name we find out in Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's Barty Crouch Jr.
I wasn't gonna say it, but
it's actually Barty Crouch.
You know what happens to the crazy
Junior.
So meta.
What's happening?
Anyway,
That's a really funny joke.
Are we good with Diagon Alley? Malfoy's dick.
Yeah, Malfoy's a dick, and the money thing, like I still don't get why there's so much. Like you have to have a currency of some kind, but they also do barter and trade like rare artifacts and things. But I get like there being like someone has to own Hogwarts or like a big magical house like that. But yeah, I still don't get why there are like legit poor people that like can't afford things.
Cool.
Economy.
Chapter 6, The Journey from Platform 9 3/4. The Dursleys drop Harry off at King's Cross, but they're assholes about it, because of course they are. Hagrid forgot to tell Harry how to get on to Platform 9 3/4, because of course he did. So a panicked Harry has to ask a wizard family, the Weasleys, how to get onto the platform. Basically, you just run through the barrier, but don't freak out about it. This is also our introduction to Molly Weasley, Percy Weasley, who is the prefect, the troublemaking twins Fred and George, Ron Weasley, who will be a little important later, and their little sister Ginny. Ginny is already very interested in Harry Potter. On the train, Ron comes to sit with Harry, and they do that like low-key, cool, we're friends now thing. Harry is introduced to the incredible world of magical candy and gets his first look at Albus Dumbledore on a chocolate frog card. He also learns that Dumbledore defeated the Dark Wizard Grindelwald in 1945. This may or may not be important later. Also on the train...
Sounds German. Is that the end of World War II? Did he really
Grindelwald?
save the war?
Did he kill Hitler?
Yeah, did he kill Magic Hitler?
I'm not saying he
Hail
didn't.
Hydra.
Oh, God. Oh, that is a different stream of thought right there. Anyway, also on the train, Harry meets Neville Longbottom, a forgetful boy with a toad named Trevor, and the worst life ever. And Hermione Granger.
Oh my God! How?
Yeah, no, we're going to
His
talk about
fucking
Neville.
uncle was like throwing him at.
We're going to talk about him. Yeah. Hermione Granger, who is an extremely smart, extremely bossy, and surprisingly insufferable Muggle-born girl. Harry is also reacquainted with Draco Malfoy, who was even more of a classist douchebag than before. But Ron's rat scabbers, nothing to see here. Move along. Attacks his crony Crab or Goyle, I don't remember, before a real fight can break out. Finally, the train arrives at Hogwarts, and Hagrid takes the first years across the lake, where they get their first look at the incredible castle that will be our home for the next 7 years, give or take. And then Hagrid leads them to the door. A lot of the, actually, chapters end with knocking. Hagrid knocking, specifically.
Greg, I hope you like Hogwarts, because you're going to be there forever. We're not leaving.
I don't dislike Hogwarts. I really like the comfy chairs in the common room. They seem nice.
Common room is the best.
I don't like the idea of like pictures changing, because I mean they're not pictures; they're something else. I don't know. It's like
Well,
No, they're
there's-
active. They're not changing.
They're like GIFs.
Yeah.
like that a picture has somewhere to be. Like that's
Yeah,
just
like
one
GIFs.
trick joke. Like they're moving around. I don't know.
I mean, Apple basically has that now. If you have an iPhone 6S or whatever, you you can take pictures that move.
I know.
Yeah, but the magical version is it seems to like steal like a time cap of your soul and put it in a frame. It's kind of creepy.
It's
But
just
a lot
a
of
weird
fun.
AI.
Yes.
It's all technology, really.
Well, but like once someone dies, like people talk to their pictures. Like
They don't
I don't know, I can
communicate
imagine
with
that-
them, though, really.
I always figured
some
it was.
people do.
I always figured
mean-
it was an impression they left behind, not the actual person.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
He talks to like all the old headmasters.
I know, but like it's just to their personality, basically.
It's
stored
like
on.
their knowledge and kind of like who they were, but yeah, they're dead and gone. So.
I think there is something actually special about the headmaster's portraits. I think
You might be right, actually.
something specific with that. But either way, I think portraits are different than like the moving photographs, because those talk and the moving photographs don't. But let's talk about Ron and Neville and Hermione. sorry, I
portraits
interrupted
do,
you.
because they got to give the code word to get in the... I was just going to say, like, some portraits other than the headmasters talk, because they got to give the password to...
She was saying
Yeah, but
the
I think she's
portraits
saying
do
those are like
talk.
full paintings. Like,
Yeah, but the pictures in the newspaper don't talk.
no,
Yeah.
they
My
just
bad,
are like
sorry.
on repeat.
Otherwise, they could just be like, "Hey, Sirius Black, where are you?" You know?
Yeah, it's like a lesser magic. Yeah.
Yeah.
You meet all the
So
big- exciting.
My favorite character is Hermione. I love her.
me too.
Yeah.
But she's awful.
I know she is in this chapter. I'm just like, oh my
What?
god, shut up.
But, you know, like I relate to Hermione in this time in her existence because I was a know-it-all also
Yeah,
when
same.
I was young.
I was
young
just
child.
like that.
She's probably so scared. She's probably just like scared out of her mind and just like, you know,
Mhm.
which I feel later, especially with her like not wanting to get in trouble.
So with reading these books before the movies and audiobooks and things came out, Hermione was a pretty weird name.
yes,
and
it
so-
was.
I don't know how different people said it differently and stuff, but my sister's friend just picked out words she knew, so she pronounced it Hermy 1. Hermy 1. Hermy 1
Hermy
Granger.
one.
I think a lot of people were like
Uh,
Hermione or whatever.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
thought it was first.
Hermione.
I remember my sister like shoving the book in my face and being like, "How do you pronounce this?" And me at 11 being very confident and telling her it was Harmony. You know.
Aw. Now people are actually named that, and they're probably old enough to drive.
God.
It's a weird name, but it's not completely unknown. There are people actually named Hermione.
Is it
before-
like a real
right?
name?
Yeah, it's a real
Yeah.
name.
Yes,
I mean,
it's a real
Is it
name.
like an Irish name?
Yeah, I think I can look it up.
I
I
think-
did
But
not
the-
know that.
I
Well,
bet
it
the
comes
people
from
that were
the
named
first
Hermione.
So
I bet the people that were named Hermione before Harry Potter books came out are pissed.
Or maybe they're happy
Hermione,
now because
Hermione
people know
was
how
the
to
name of
pronounce
King
it.
Menelaus' daughter in Greek mythology.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
just
that's
looked
where
this
Daughter
up.
of Helena Troy. I looked it up. I'm not knowing that off the top of my head.
I know. I just.
But I
looked it
think
up,
like
too.
I'm always
saw it
kind of
too.
afraid that in real life I'm like the Hermione like telling people shit that they don't
bossy
want to hear.
pants.
Like not like intending to be, but just like the tone I have and like my position.
Adam,
Just-
I'm not gonna lie.
No, I used to be.
you're a Hermione explainer.
Oh Jesus Christ!
Well, actually,
Yeah, but it's just like I don't know. When I see people that don't
Spell
understand like,
actually.
simple things, I feel like oh, like do you want to understand the thing that you just explained that you don't understand? Like, because I could take 5 minutes and explain it to you. But
No,
Yeah.
I used to totally be that asshole that used to, like, if they didn't give homework, I'd be like, but is there homework that you said 3 days ago? Like, when I was so little, and, ugh.
and people get mad for some reason. Like I don't really understand why.
you guys were real popular in school, weren't you?
Oh.
Yeah.
So
No,
bad.
actually, I was.
Oh, I wasn't.
But that's a different story.
As an oldest sister, I very much, and also a nerd, I very much identify with Hermione. But even now, I'm like, wow, girl, like calm down,
Slow your
you
roll.
Tone
know?
it back.
Because really, like at this point, I mean, I'm sure Greg, you're aware that Hermione becomes like the third part of the Golden Trio, but like,
Yeah.
you know, you wouldn't think that from the way she's presented here. She reads more like an annoying side character than a, you know, coming main character.
Yeah,
Ahead of the
it's like
dragon.
it's like she's Luna or something.
There must be 3.
Oh,
Luna
Neville's
thought
constant losing stuff would get old really fast, so I do think that, yeah, Hermione has more to bring to the table than Neville.
Well, Neville's
Well.
important too.
I know. but
Well,
I like
they
Neville.
both are the hottest people at the end of the series.
True.
You're referring to the actors who play them.
Yeah, you're thinking of the movies.
I
God,
hope.
Neville is beautiful.
Well, yeah.
Neville in the movies is like real awkward. Real awkward.
Book accurate.
Anyway, let's talk about how Neville has the worst life.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, I don't think we find it out.
Well-
I mean, we find out the really bad part later.
It's
Yeah.
so.
Oh,
it's,
no,
like,
what
given
happened?
to us so like.
Oh, you don't even
nonchalant
know,
here.
Greg. It's like,
But the dude dropping him out a window is a wizard, so he could easily just mend his broken bones if he got hurt.
It's just
Yeah, but
trying
they're
to
like
induce
they're like
magic.
he bounced. He's got magic in him.
it's so
maybe
messed
that's
up. It's so messed up. And then they didn't think I was magic enough to come. So, like, oh my god. This poor kid.
their family was so paranoid about him getting his acceptance letter. They're like, let's drop him and see if he bounces.
Yeah, right. And immediately, he's picked on. Like, right, like a magnet.
Mm.
Poor Neville.
And he's being picked on
Yep.
for his tragedy.
Yes, exactly. For the sadness that is Neville Longbottom.
Does a pumpkin pasty not sound disgusting to you guys? It sounds gross to me.
I have no idea what a pasty is.
One of my
so-
friends
Like
made them,
a
and they're
pastry?
actually.
I imagine it like hanging
bad.
from a nipple, right?
Clearly, you haven't read American Gods.
Pasties
it's
are
Halloween
like,
at the
they're
strip club.
basically they're like a. Oh, for Christ's sakes!
It's like a pastry
It's like-
filled with.
Yeah, it's like a dough. It's like a pie, but like
Yeah.
seal.
No,
Yeah.
my friends
Cornish
made them.
pastry. You never had this? Like a scone
With a
stuff.
nipple on it?
Yes.
Not you with nipples. No nipples.
The spoiler warning should include like an NC-17 warning for this at the
You gotta-
beginning, just in
I-
case any kids
Might
find
have to
this.
do that.
Shane,
that's a
you've read
blanket,
American
bro.
Gods. If you've read American Gods, you know about pasties.
Exactly.
I'm only
It's
halfway
all
through.
British.
Okay.
I haven't read it. No.
Technically
Yeah,
Cornish.
American Gods written by a British guy. Anyway.
I know about boobs.
Okay, Matt, we know.
We don't know, Matt.
Anyway, moving on to chapter 7.
Ooh.
All right, I'll go ahead and give you my short summary that I wrote 3 minutes before we started. So, the Sorting Hat.
Good for you, buddy.
The students meet Professor McGonagall as they enter the castle. She tells them about the 4 houses and that they will be sorted into them. Harry gets very worried about messing up whatever test is set before him, but his nerves are calmed somewhat when he learns that they will just need to put on a hat. They are led into the Great Hall, and the sorting begins with a lovely song. Harry, Ron, Hermione, and Neville are all sorted into Gryffindor, while Draco Malfoy is sorted into Slytherin. They all sit down to dinner, and Harry is amazed by all the food. Sir Nicholas de Mimsy Porpington, the Gryffindor ghost, introduces himself and tells the story of his unfortunate end. Neville tells the story of how all his family thought he was a Muggle until he was bounced out of a window. So basically, what we were just talking about that whole time. Dumbledore says a few words, and the children go off to bed after singing another lovely song. Because this is the one chapter where Joanne Rowling thought maybe we're going to do songs in this, like Tolkien, but then she gave it up immediately afterward.
What are you talking about? There's a ton of songs.
There's like 4 more songs in the whole series.
Hogwarts, Hogwarts.
Hoggy-warty Hogwarts, actually.
Hoggy-warty, sorry.
At least they didn't mix in like some sort of like weird pop music in here or something.
Our heads could do with filling with some interesting
Kind of
stuff.
like
For now they're bare and full of air, dead flies, and bits of fluff. So teach us something worth knowing. Bring back what we forgot.
I want to burn that hat.
We'll do something.
That hat should be burned. That hat is evil. That hat is the source of all evil. That hat is kind of creepy.
No, the hat contains the sword to Gryffindor. So come on.
The hat doesn't.
Spoiler.
I think it just teleported it. Doesn't keep it in there all the time.
Oh.
The hat is
Poking
full
dudes
of
in the
dark
head?
magic.
It's also like the creepy thing to me about the hat is how old it is. It's like thousands of years old, or hundreds anyway. And like,
Ew, think of how many fucking like sweaty heads it's been on.
Yeah.
Nice. Just getting spread around to all the kids.
Clearly, Filch washes this hat.
But it seems to be responsive to what people want. It like listens to you like, oh, I don't want to be in this house. I do want to be in this house. And then it kind of just goes with that.
Yeah.
I wonder how much it changes.
Probably don't go in thinking that strongly. I feel like Harry was unusual in that.
Well,
Harry's
any
a Mary
kid,
Sue, so he gets
any kid that had an older sibling would know all about the houses and know which one they want to be in.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is why you got all the Weasleys in Gryffindor.
I'm still Hufflepuff.
Right? Like Ron is like, I'll probably be in, Ravenclaw. I mean, probably Ron would not be in Ravenclaw.
No,
No, Ron's stupid.
Yeah, Ron. I love the guy, but he's an idiot. No, I mean he like they seemed resigned, right? Like Malfoy wanted actively to be in Slytherin, and he probably has a Slytherin personality, and just the whole, like Hermione. I don't know. Hermione probably debated with the sorting hat under there. It's still funny to me that Hermione's in Gryffindor, actually.
Yeah, she should be in Ravenclaw, honestly.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense that she's not. But...
The story demands it.
True.
Right.
Because you can't have friends outside your house.
This is not teaching the children a bad lesson about how to live your life.
Oh, man. Okay, so I'm a Ravenclaw. What are you?
Hufflepuff.
Hufflepuff, nice.
Gryffindor.
Oh.
I'm Hufflepuff too.
How dare you?
I like saying Hufflepuff.
That's what the Pottermore thing said.
I'm way too Ravenclaw.
Yeah, I'd probably also be a Ravenclaw.
I feel like I have no math in Ravenclaw. I don't know.
No Slytherins?
As much as I want to actually be Slytherin, I'm actually Ravenclaw.
I'm Slytherin.
Really?
Ooh.
Yeah.
I
could see myself as any of them except Slytherin. I'd probably be in Ravenclaw though, I think.
I mean, I really don't want power because with power comes responsibility, and as everyone knows, I'm not good with that.
And you're not
Yeah,
Spider-Man.
Slytherins are too ambitious. If it was just kind of being a dick and minding your own business,
No,
I could be a
that's-
Slytherin.
That's the great thing about Slytherin, Matt, is you get the power, but you have no responsibility.
There's like the Slytherins
How does
are
that work?
politicians.
Yeah, well, how does that work? Well, they don't care about what their consequences are.
The
using black
Slytherins are
magic.
the Machiavellians of
Yeah.
society.
It would help if
Yeah.
there, at some point in the novels there was some there was some people that were in Slytherin that turned out to be cool. Like, well, I guess
What?
there is.
There's
Yeah.
There were a
one,
couple, yeah.
two.
If
Yeah.
they were.
No, but I agree. I do think that like there's always a little bit of like that's definitely one of the flaws in the story, that there aren't any like really good Slytherins. Mm-hmm. Like there's something that happens in book 7 that I'm still frustrated about. But
yeah,
oh boy.
Yeah.
Which is stupid.
Yeah. But you know, I mean, other than that, like it's funny how dedicated some people are to their houses. Like when I was like doing the Pottermore thing, I was really nervous that I would not be sorted into Ravenclaw, and I was. But then because I felt, I felt very strongly.
The questions were super obvious, weren't they?
Yeah.
I don't know. I've been up all night.
Is it one of those like you like books, you hate books, you think?
No,
books
it
was.
like,
no, there was a lot of questions.
More complicated than that. Yeah.
A lot of my friends were trying to get Gryffindor, and I was the only one that was able to get it, and I was the only one that did it honestly. So.
Oh sure.
I did. I did.
Oh yeah.
You can tell.
You did it honestly, but you did it 12 times.
Yeah. Honestly, 12 times.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I would like everyone wants to say they're like Gryffindor or whatever. And, like, as much as I would be like, oh, yeah, Ravenclaw is kind of cool, I think I would get annoyed if I was in Ravenclaw. And, like, I think I like the Hufflepuffs, man. That's where it's at. Like, no one wants to be Hufflepuff, but, like, yeah, it's like you can go hang out with the smart people and the fun people if you want, or you can take a nap. Like, and, like, no one's going to give you shit in Hufflepuff for taking a nap. They actually have the sweetest deal, and I think they probably do pretty well after school.
Have we met which teacher is like in charge of Hufflepuff, or have I not met them yet? Or am I
it's
not
Sprout.
It's we haven't met
it's
her.
the plant lady.
Herbology.
Yeah.
Sprout.
That's another thing in Puffs, that they're all like, we had to go to this class and it was scary, and that class and it was scary, and then they're like, but herbology was great, and they're like, herbology.
Practice loves the herb, that's why he's in Hufflepuff.
Why am I getting the stone jokes? 9 times more than I do.
Because we've been doing this for a while.
Greg, quit being paranoid.
Well, guys, if we want to be fair, Zach is the one that lives in Colorado.
This is true. Yeah.
All that being said, the housing system is evil and should be eradicated.
True story. Well, at least it shouldn't be as rigid as it is.
You just put all the Slytherins in jail. I mean, if you.
Yeah, but they won the House Cup for the past 7 years or whatever.
Which is why that means, which is why they should have realized that a magical war was brewing, because the Slytherins are becoming powerful, and they should have taken them out before it was a problem.
Basically, the Slytherins are the Yankees.
Yes, so true.
The what?
The Yankees.
What?
Shut the fuck.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes.
Wait, you're a Yankee fan too, Casey?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know.
I mean, I do imagine a Slytherin would juice, right, guys?
Oh yeah.
Do you say Jews?
Juice.
Oh, okay.
You know that thing A-Rod did, where everyone just hated him and then loved him again, and then
I distinctly heard him say
We don't talk
Jew.
about A-Rod. Right?
You don't talk about it.
He who must not be named.
Yeah.
Anyway, witches and wizards. Any thoughts on our first real look at, I guess, Dumbledore as headmaster, or the potions master who shoots Harry a look? That we can talk about in the next chapter, really.
Staring at his eyes.
Staring at his eyes.
Dumbledore can definitely be a frustrating character, but I love the banquet scenes.
Yeah.
It's always really funny.
Where he wants to say a couple words and then says a couple words.
Clever oddment tweak. It took me so long to figure out what that meant as a kid.
Right. What does it mean?
It's a joke, right? It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, it's a joke.
It's just random, right?
I want to say, yeah.
It's not a code.
Yeah. I figured out a code. I was like, what the fuck?
Hufflepuff. Us Ravenclaws understand it.
Another chapter that makes me hungry.
But speaking of the whole Harry's eyes thing, though, I think that's the second thing Hagrid says to Harry. It's it's really late in there, very early on.
Your mom's eyes.
I
Yeah, I mean, Greg, you find out later that there's a magical transplant of his mom's eyes.
Give some new powers.
It's
Laser
lit
eyes.
for eyes.
Yeah, it's like the whole crux of the series.
Okay.
Did you say Horcrux?
Thanks for spoiling that. I've heard of that. I don't know what it is.
The series.
I've heard of Horcrux, but I don't know what it is. One of my comedians who
Wait,
are
wait,
like
wait,
did this whole bit about
It's-
it, but
What do you think it is?
It's the eyes. It's the transplanting of the eyes.
I don't think it's a physical thing. I think maybe it's some I don't know a theory. I don't know like a. I honestly don't know. Well, it's like
No,
a situation.
no.
Is it a situation you can get into or something? Like, oh darn, I'm in another Horcrux situation.
It's when you get a citation for doing.
I wish it
magic
was
from the
now.
police.
Yeah. I have no idea.
Got myself
Could have
into
been
a bit of
solved by
Horcrux.
Googling years ago, but I'm lazy and I didn't do that.
Fuck, I got another Horcrux again.
All right, chapter 8. So this podcast is not 3 hours. Chapter 8.
Okay, I'm fast. The students have to go to their first class. Hogwarts is a fucking labyrinth. Interior designer must be fired because stairs shouldn't move around. Argus Crouch is a fucking dick. Mrs. Norris is creepy. Apparently, Vince is boring. I misspelled that. Which shows that J.K. Rowling doesn't really actually read history because history is fucking rad. Flitwick is some sort of whimsical thing, and apparently, and is Warwick Davis. McGonagall is strict. Snape hates Harry's guts apparently, and she likes to take points from Gryffindor.
Okay, but not only does Snape hate Harry's guts, but he turns on Neville.
Watch out. Watch out.
Yes. He
Snape hates Neville.
immediately starts bullying Neville because apparently he sucks at potioning. Harry and Ron go see Hagrid. Harry reads some news about a break-in at Gringotts. Harry, for some reason, is really interested about that. And Hagrid seems shifty, and Harry really wants to know what the damn package he took out from Gringotts is. Done.
Maybe it's a Horcrux.
Maybe it's a Horcrux.
Hogwarts.
It could be.
Hogwarts' interior design is very much a liability.
Yep. There needs to be
Part
a
of the charm.
charm.
Well, it used to be a castle, right?
Yeah, but stairs disappearing and
It
you
is a
fall
castle.
through to your death.
Yeah, but it
Very
was like,
creepy.
yeah. Again, this goes back to my point. Is like one powerful man can do whatever he wants with magic. So, like, if you built a castle and it's just you and all these rooms, you would just build traps and stuff everywhere, right? So that if anyone got into your house, you were somewhat safe.
But there are 4 powerful wizards that built it, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and then they kind of like
They-
went to their own
Probably
wings.
made
right?
a bunch of traps for each other and shit like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, don't come spying on my stuff.
The
That's
game is at hand.
honestly
My room.
one of my favorite passages in the book is the description of Hogwarts and the craziness and like, you know, it was a big day for Ron and Harry because they got down to the Great Hall, you know, without being late or without getting lost once. And I was like, there's something so because like anytime you go anywhere new, especially school,
Yeah.
like that's such a big deal, you know. And like, I mean, I know like I didn't even get the grasp of my graduate campus, like really, you know, I knew where a couple of buildings were, but then somebody was like, let's meet here, and I was like, sure, where is that, you know, 2 years after I'd, you know, been there. So I don't know, and I that's another section I think where there's a lot of verve in the writing and a lot of like personality, like
Again, it's like being a Gryffindor is not all it's cracked up to be, right? Like, this is why you're a Hufflepuff. Isn't their little area just kind of really easy to get in and out of?
It also
Hey.
though uses
near the kitchens. I don't.
Yeah, they're near the kitchens, which
Yeah.
is on the ground.
Yeah, straight up near the kitchens. Come on, they don't have to worry about being late to class probably.
But one of the cool things, Rowling uses the labyrinthine, is that a word? Labyrinth-like way Hogwarts is designed in a lot of the plot of the books.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, well, if we're gonna spend however many books in here, it needs to be interesting, right? So,
Mhm.
twists.
They
and
also-
turns.
They also need to like hire better people and just like let go of people like Fouch or Peeves. Why didn't you mention it, but
I don't think Peeves is employed.
Peeves
Yeah.
is an employee.
No.
It comes with the
You can
territory.
I don't think Peeves could go anywhere.
Right? You can just get rid of Peeves. Like, what contribution does Peeves give to this
Well,
to this school?
Dumbledore likes him,
Comedy.
or doesn't want to get rid of him. Dumbledore's weird.
See, I didn't like.
Was
the whole
anyone
ghost
else
thing.
like?
Are ghosts magical, or that's just a whole separate? That's more like
Or
religious.
just sad.
It gets explained a little later on, but
Yeah,
I was gonna say the Bloody Baron. I was like, holy shit! It gets explained.
Why is
like,
he covered in
books
blood?
later? Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, it's a kid's school. It's fine.
But like, do you think they ever really try to get rid of the ghosts? Like seriously try to get rid of them? Like, it seems like they just sort of live with it.
It adds to the ambiance.
Yeah.
Ghostbusters.
I feel like
They
Filch
never call
wants to
them.
get rid of Peeves.
But Peeve's not a ghost, is he?
Poltergeist.
He's
I don't know.
a
Poltergeist, yes.
He's a poltergeist.
He's not
It's
really
in the same
a ghost.
genre.
Regardless, Dumbledore has the power to get rid of Peeps. And
just
kills
doesn't.
too.
Yeah, but
He
like
has-
the Weasleys, in the next book you find out have a ghoul in the attic. And I was like, I'd be really concerned about there being a ghoul in the attic, even more than I would in the attic of my house. I'm actually in the
It's a
attic of my
pet.
house right now.
Also have
Hey, Greg,
gnomes
in
their
two
garden.
books. In 2 books, they have a ghoul in the attic.
That's the next book.
Next book, yeah.
Keep that in mind, Greg.
And-
It's really important.
They want to keep
I
all
will
the
storage.
eccentricities of Hogwarts intact. It adds to the character and ambiance of the place.
Yeah, isn't it weird? Like the ghosts are mostly friendly and they can't really do anything. But yeah, a ghoul and kids aren't allowed to practice magic until they go to Hogwarts. So yeah, you've got a house full of kids. That sounds kind of dangerous.
But it's also like the traps and everything. I mean, there's a lot of danger in the world, but they use magic to heal, so it's like no biggie.
Oh yeah, they
Right.
play this incredibly dangerous sport where balls hit you and kill you. So
Yeah. There are jokes like, oh, nobody's died this year. Like, that's great. Wonderful.
And like
Greg,
Neville
you fell asleep?
I've nodded off for a couple seconds. I heard you talking about. Then the ghouls got me back. I'm here. I'm tired.
Well,
I'm
speaking
I
of
was gonna say.
speaking of Quidditch, should we go to the next chapter?
Yes.
Or do we have more
we
to
can
say?
keep going. We can keep moving.
Chapter
Yeah.
9. We got it.
Last one. For the purposes of narrative tension, Gryffindor and Slytherin have their first flying lessons scheduled together. Before brooms meet balls, Neville is gifted a pseudo snitch by his grand.
Balls.
Neville is gifted a pseudo snitch by his grand to remind us that everything happens for a reason. The students gather around the school-supplied broomsticks, which are rumored to vibrate and veer to the left. These are decent attributes for sex, but not so much for flying.
Jesus Christ.
13 and a half
Oh
inches.
man.
I love it.
All of these little 11-year-olds are just itching to get airborne, and Madame Hooch, the instructor, not Varley's nickname for his cocktails, straight to business.
I like how the funniest thing is the actual thing from the book.
I knew he'd like that.
The spell to activate flying brooms turns out to be the exotic and difficult to pronounce phrase of up. All of Hermione's studious
It's
preparation.
up, not up.
Up. Yes, up.
Up.
All
Wait,
of
what's
Hermione's
the difference?
studious.
Spell. You're just talking to the broom.
It's
Yeah,
it's
okay.
up, not up.
All of Hermione's studious preparation is for naught, as she is unable to get the slightest rise out of her stick. Meanwhile,
Dang it.
meanwhile, Harry's a natural, as his bewitched cleaning utensil is immediately responsive to his merest prompting. All of the young pupils mount up, and the madam demonstrates proper weight distribution maneuvers and shaft gripping techniques.
Shaft gripping.
Are we still talking about the book?
We have not been talking about the book for quite some time, Shane.
Well, Shane,
It
we're
turns
talking
out-
about Madam Hooch still.
It turns out Malfoy has been practicing a weird reverse grip for years, which Hooch claims is simply wrong, but Draco insists feels better and was more responsive and engaged.
Jesus Christ.
I don't remember that part, Paul. I think you're making stuff up.
Nope, reread it.
It's in there.
It's there.
As
He
everyone is
specifically said reverse grip, I remember.
Yes, he does.
As everyone
In the
is
book.
gearing up, as everyone is gearing up to get off the ground, Longbottom prematurely blasts off. He surges over 20 feet.
I'm sorry. I can't deal with this.
He surges over 20 feet in the air and then falls back to Earth. Luckily, he breaks his wrist and not his neck. Since there's no medical personnel on hand, Madame Hooch marches him off to the infirmary and leaves the class to their own devices. Malfoy grabs Neville's dropped ball, and Potter tells him to hand it over. Draco flies up in the air, and Harry rashly, but instinctively, pursues him. The wind in his hair and the wood between his thighs gives Harry an exhilarating rush.
I'm not even functional anymore.
Damn it, Paul.
Paul, you get all the Quidditch chapters.
Yeah. That's why there's a mute button.
The wind in his hair and the wood between it. Are we going to continue?
Oh, he just wants to repeat the line. I see what he's doing.
The wind in his hair and the wood between his thighs gives Harry an exhilarating rush of fierce joy. Wondrous elation quickly turns to malice as Harry threatens and then attempts to murder Malfoy by knocking him off his broom over 50 feet in the air. Fortunately, Draco dodges, throws the Remember All away, and retreats to safety. Harry stupidly dives after it and manages to catch it 1 foot off the ground before tumbling onto the grass. At this point, Professor McGonagall exits her peeping bush hiding spot where she's been observing all the proceedings and runs over to Harry. She appears to be furious with his reckless, dangerous, and disobedient behavior, but in actuality, she is speechless with admiration for his acrobatic, magical sporting prowess. She marches him off, not to be expelled as he fears, but to meet Quidditch Captain Oliver Wood.
Of course, that's his name.
It is.
There are many clever names in this series. That is not one of them.
And put Harry on the house team. Tryouts and knowledge of the game be damned. Since apparently Gryffindor are experiencing a striking dearth in seeking talent, Wood is thrilled to welcome a scrawny 11-year-old who has never played or even seen a Quidditch match to the team. And with that, a kid who has only flown once immediately becomes the most important player on the house squad.
Well, did you say dearth or girth?
Dearth.
Well, let's be fair. To play his position, you really don't have to know anything about the game.
Yeah.
Jeez,
Oh my God, Paul, that was amazing.
We're not done yet.
My fucking face hurts.
The next day, Malfoy challenges Harry to a wizard's duel, which is technically to the death, but Ron assures him that wizards, neither of them know enough magic to actually hurt one another. Ron's sage advice continues as he suggests that if Harry's spell work comes to naught, he should simply toss his wand and punch Draco in the nose. Late that night, Harry and Ron suit up in their bathrobes and head off to the duel in the trophy room. Before they can leave, Hermione accosts them in her own bathrobe about breaking rules and costing Gryffindor behavior points. She soon gives up and tries to leave, but can't get back through the portrait because the fat lady, and J.K. Rowling for that matter, clearly want Hermione to be part of the team. Next, they stumble upon Neville, who is sleeping in the hallway, because that is who he is. He decides to tag along as well. When they reach the designated room, they find that MCG are nowhere to be found, and that in their stead, Walder Frey and Chuck Norris's cat are on the prowl for naughty children.
Jesus
That's Walder Frey is scarier than any three-headed dog.
It turns out the duel was a ruse, and Malfoy had tipped off the location in order to get Harry in trouble. A frantic chase ensues, and the kids run around for a bit until they happen upon a locked door in a remote stretch of hallway. After breaking in, they think they're in the clear, but slowly realization dawns as they turn around to find a gigantic three-headed dog, drooling and baring its teeth in their direction. They scramble back out the door and run back to where they belong. Eagle-eyed Granger points out that the dog was standing on a trap door and extrapolates that it was clearly guarding something. Harry deduces that the beast must be protecting the parcel that Hagrid had taken from Gringotts.
Yeah, that's a lot of leaps.
And we get the immortal line from Hermione.
Yeah, slow clap.
Immortal line. We could have been killed or worse, expelled.
Yes.
I mean, I don't really know what to say now.
Yeah,
I think we should just leave it like that.
yep, that covers it.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
Pretty thorough.
Robomat approves.
Any
That's good.
predictions, Greg? Any thoughts?
well, I assume Hades is down there. He's got a lady put aside, and then someone's gonna go sing a song, and they'll come back, and they'll split their time half the year. That's probably what.
You're not entirely wrong.
Really.
Something having to do with their parents, I assume. I don't know what specifically. A Horcrux? Is it a Horcrux? I don't know.
Everything's a
Oh
Horcrux.
man, it is definitely, this chapter is, I think, the biggest part of Harry's like wish fulfillment journey. After I think he becomes like the magical Quidditch player, I think things do start to become a little more standard, if not realistic necessarily. But I don't think it's always like Harry is the best at everything. You know, after this, it's like Quidditch is like a little hard, and like he doesn't have time to do his homework, and
He's only the best at Quidditch and killing dark evil.
yeah,
That's all.
exactly.
This was the first of many late night excursions through the castle.
Yes,
in
it
the
is.
series.
Yeah.
And it's funnily enough, like this happens without the invisibility cloak. I think it's the only one.
That's probably
We
true.
didn't get that till book 3, right?
No, we get
Or is
it.
it book 2?
No, it's this.
Oh.
No, we
Believe it or not, even though we're halfway through the book, some shit still happens.
Some shit.
Some shit.
Like Christmas.
Halloween, the next chapter.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
I
like
love
it's Christmas porn every time. Like she just loves like writing about like the holidays at this boarding school.
Yeah,
And-
it's true.
Yes. Although they don't, I mean, then it's like Easter isn't really a thing. It's just kind of like Christmas, and then like, everybody leaves for Easter, but Harry just
They're all
takes
pagans, right? So.
They're lax Christians, yeah.
Yeah, I think that they feel like JC's spell power wasn't that strong. So
I mean, he might have been a wizard. I don't know. Anyway, yeah. So I think that's all for. That's all. That's a lot. But we did lead into it a little bit. So I don't know if everyone will go exactly like this. But anyway, thank you guys so much for joining me and us in our very first version of the Harry Potter reread. We will, move on from here. Hopefully we'll finish the first book in the next one. There's like 8 chapters left. I think that sounds reasonable.
Sounds reasonable.
Sure.
Cool. Anyway, that's all for now. Thank you everyone for listening. We are the Vassals of Kingsgrave. You can find us on vassalsofkingsgrave.com.
No.
BOKpodcast.com.
Oh, sorry. I forgot whether
Just
we got
Google
a
it. Why does
fancy
everyone always get website? Just Google the damn thing. You'll find it.
Okay, you need to find the
YouTube, WordPress, Tinder, everything.
Grinder.
Yes.
Grinder.
Your Tumblr, etc.
On Tumblr,
JD.
on Tinder, on Dasher, on Blitzen.
What's the opposite of Alohomora?
Like, is that like aloha?
Goodbye, Alias.
yeah, it's probably the same, right? Is that hello or goodbye?
Aloha Mora, everybody.
Yeah.
One more.
See you no more?
So you guys just rambled on forever and ever because I never told you that was enough?
So who's super excited to get through these first 2 books and onto the good stuff?
Oh, these books are great, man. So much stuff happens.
Oh, Harry's such a summer child.
Yes.
He's been locked in the room under the stairs.
The cupboard?
No, he had it classified as a bedroom, I think, in the plans. It's square
Well,
footage when he sells the place, right?
Right. In Boston, it needs to have a closet to be considered a bedroom. So I don't.
I'm sure
You
that's
guys-
what child services said was totally okay for a bedroom.
Yeah, you just cut a hole in the wall and like put a door in like a flap.
Yeah.
Like there's your
It is
closet.
England, so.
Yeah, they're like, oh, well, there are 2 children's beds upstairs, so I'm sure the thing underneath the cupboard is like, just for guests.
Well, actually,
They even have another guest bedroom.
What's that?
One of my
They have another bedroom.
Well, yeah, Dudley has 2 bedrooms.
No, they have another bedroom. They have 4 bedrooms.
Don't spoil. I haven't gotten.
do they?
It's in this part. It's
the first chapter.
Yeah.
4 bedrooms? I thought Dudley had 2 bedrooms, one for his toys, right?
They say
There's
they
like
have
an
a guest
office
bedroom
or
for Aunt
something, right?
March.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
They have more than enough room to give Harry a room. They're purposely being
Right,
real
yeah, they're
dicks.
purposely
Wow,
just
they
being
really are supreme dicks, huh?
So you guys just rambled on forever and ever because I never told you that was enough?
When is Captain America being published?
Shut up.
Challenged it.
So you guys just rambled on forever and ever because I never told you that was enough?
You guys might
Gotta
be
be
surprised.
miserable for the
You
listeners.
guys
Then.
might be surprised to hear that this week's Dragon Cast is probably going to be under an hour in actual show.
You.
We
You're
talked
gonna
for 6
cut out
hours
all
last
of my
night.
hot takes.
Oh, I cut everything. It wasn't our best work, if I'm being totally honest.
So you guys just rambled on forever and ever because I never told you that was enough?
Exactly.
Well, the after show was like
I
half
think
of it, wasn't it?
If I included the whole after show, it would be longer than the main show. But,
You're all such good friends. Just can't stop talking.
yeah.
We are.
I stopped for a good hour while they talked about cartoons.
Apparently, we're doing another podcast
It wasn't.
tomorrow
It's not
night.
cartoons. It's Avatar.
I know. I just.
Jeez.
So you guys just rambled on forever and ever because I never told you that was enough?
I read the chapter.
Oh.
Holy shit! I want
For
that book
what?
so bad.
I haven't read it yet. It's a full
Non-stop
chapter,
podcast.
like an entire chapter.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
it's
they
Aaron
transcribed.
Damphair that I give 0 shits about, but like I was like in love with it.
The full text was released? I thought it was just people summarizing.
No, the
They got a full
Bina,
transcription.
But it wasn't
Yeah,
posted
yeah.
on the website?
Officially
No,
on his website. Right?
it's unofficial.
Oh.
It's
Right.
it's a fittingly a pirate transcription.
It's good enough.
Yar.
I
Yara.
hate the review in baseball. It's so stupid. Sorry, I'm watching the Met game too.
I know. Did they score again?
No, they threw out a runner, but then the White Sox got it overturned.
Yeah, this is Dragon Cast again.
Fucking White Sox.
So you guys just rambled on forever and ever because I never told you that was enough?
the Mets do suck, Greg.
Yeah,
up.
they just gave up a 2-run home run.
Hey!
Oh, damn it.
The Yankees.
Really?
Time to-
Canada's beating them.
Ah.
I
Buckle
know.
up, guys.
Rockies are leading 7-0 over Cincinnati Reds.
Okay, let's talk about Quidditch,
Yeah,
not baseball.
Rockies.
Let's talk about something important like
Yeah,
Talk about
let's
the
let's
Chudley
talk
Cannon.
about a sport that makes no sense.
There's no Quidditch
Baseball.
in my chapter, but here we go.
So you guys just rambled on forever and ever because I never told you that was enough?
Who just logged off?
I got dropped and then I tried to get back on.
Oh, okay.
Am I back?
Yeah,
How's the
you're back.
backup recorder talking? Is this a joke? Seriously, I'm kind of freaked out.
It's Adam. It's Adam.
Oh, damn it.
So you guys just rambled on forever and ever because I never told you that was enough?
At least
Sure,
J.K.
maybe.
was able to finish her books before, the movies.
True story.
So you guys just rambled on forever and ever because I never told you that was enough?
And I'm saying what's his face because I remember his name and don't want to spoil it for Greg, but
Yeah.
Should we settle? Like, 'cause I don't want to be a reason of you guys not talking about stuff. So I'm fine with you talking about stuff because like I
Well,
said, I
No, but
plenty
this is a
of
big
time.
one.
I think there's like 2 or 3
Like, I know
major
that I think
things
Ron
that we could
dies,
just like
but
not
that
talk
doesn't-
about.
It's not going to spoil the book for me.
I also think it's a fun I also think it's a
I
fun
think-
conceit that we're keeping hidden knowledge from Greg and dragging him along.
Yeah,
That's
if
why
there
I'm
is
here.
something that we really need to discuss, like
earmuffs.
topically, yeah, like earmuffs, or socks, or
But I'm
sweaters.
honestly reading. I'm not reading this for the story. I'm reading this because it's a fun thing to do with you guys. So like, it's not like, oh my god, I'm going to be angry if you tell me what happens. It's more about the journey, which is what.
No, but
most
what we're getting out of it is by like having you not know some stuff. Okay,
Yeah.
so just let us
Yeah,
have our
we
fun.
wanna-
Funny to you. Okay, well, fine.
Live
We wanna hear
vicariously
your
through your
theories.
virgin experience. So you guys just rambled on forever and ever because I never told you that was enough?
Okay, cool. So is that it for our discussion on chapter 1? The boy
Yeah,
who lived?
I'd say yes. There's more to say, but
If we're
we don't
doing
want
9 chapters.
Yeah, we don't want this
today-
to take
It's only been 45 minutes.
We can breeze through the next couple chapters, I think.
Greg, Harry Potter is your father.
So you guys just rambled on forever and ever because I never told you that was enough?
Here,
It's
yeah,
a
I'll
Google Doc.
paste it into the
No,
chat.
like put the actual text in the chat.
Is somebody doing that? It's
I
highlighted.
just hear that Kim Possible song.
Shit, sorry.
Okay.
It's my
Oh, yeah, that's wrong.
it's my text tone.
Oh my god.
Wait, there's a song called Kim Possible?
There's a show.
Oh,
No
I,
talking possible.
Is there a show?
I don't know what it is, but I don't
What?
like it.
What?
Yes.
It's the best. Come on.
Call me, beat me if you want to reach me.
You wanna beat me? It's okay.
Beat you?
Beat you?
Beep. This was the early 2000s
Did
when
we
people
just-
weren't sure if they were going to go for the cell phones or the pagers.
Did someone just like draw a line in the floor and divide us?
It's not like hasn't been happening all night, Adam.
Yeah, well, the line just keeps shifting around.
So you guys just rambled on forever and ever because I never told you that was enough?
Kim Possible's great.
It's my favorite favorite animated Disney thing.
Oh, it's a cartoon. Okay, that's fine.
Wait a minute, what?
You guys don't even know.
I will be
Why would I know?
very end. Danger or trouble, I'm there on the double. You know that you always can call Kim Possible.
What the fuck just happened?
I know Captain Planet and G.I. Joe and
God,
Mighty
Captain-
Yeah,
Not know
Captain
that one.
Planet, son.
I can think that one too.
That's a terrible show from my
He's a
childhood.
hero. Yeah.
Terrifying. Oh my god.
Heart.
Power of Heart, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that guy, they just gotten rid of him. Like, he was useless.
They had to have
It was a
vague-
she.
a vague
I think
name.
I think it was the only Asian on the show. Was
No,
Heart.
no, there's a...
No, the girl,
girl was
the
Asian.
No.
the water
Heart
girl
Cock.
was the Asian. Yeah, they had
Yeah,
a
Heart
Russian.
Cock's
like
South
Indian.
America.
Who did they have? They had one American. They had a Russian, an Asian, an African,
They had a black dude.
and,
Johnny
and a
West.
South American. I think they covered
Okay, I'm
most
ready,
of
I'm
the
ready.
continents.
Yeah, I'm quit talking about Captain Planet now.
So you guys just rambled on forever and ever because I never told you that was enough?
At a booming knock on the door of the hut, Greg, I'm
Sorry, I'm
trying
still
to
talking
read.
about Captain Planet. Go ahead.
I've had many discussions
We're
about
talking about
Captain Planet with
his early
Katie.
90s buzz cut, but alright, fine.
Katie once like sent me this oh my god, this thing from Captain Planet. It was the AIDS episode.
Oh Jesus Christ!
Very special.
amazing. Like
G.I. Joe had
at one
a
point,
PSA too, I think.
Captain Planet comes down to like a football field or something, and he goes, "Billy hasn't changed, everyone." It was just really funny.
He's just dying.
God,
On
his
that
T cell count is way down.
And then it segues into Rent.
Oh,
That's hilarious.
that's sakes.
47 minutes. A lot of them.
Okay.
even I know that.
We can always like reconvene and rearrange our chapters at a different time. That is definitely possible if we need to.
Go ahead, Shane. Go forth. We won't interrupt you.
So you guys just rambled on forever and ever because I never told you that was enough?
And a pretty good
Oh
picture.
shit! Do you have that?
Yeah. And a full-page picture of Haggard is pretty good, too.
We have it
Oh,
for
nice.
purchase at Southampton Books or at your local independent bookstore.
I mean, if someone would have my credit card and would
Just all you gotta do is say the magic words, Matt, and you know it'll be there in 3 days.
buy it for me.
Expecto Patronum!
That's a kind of magic word.
Expecto Bookus.
So you guys just rambled on forever and ever because I never told you that was enough?
Jesus.
Fucking Christ.
Oh my god. Oh,
Thanks so much. Oh my god. Let's move on to the next chapter. I think.
please.
So you guys just rambled on forever and ever because I never told you that was enough?
I mean, that
Would you prefer an 11-inch supple or a 8-inch firm?
Ollivander is really creepy,
Matt,
guys. Like, he
Matt.
measures Harry, but
it's
really,
all
why
about
is he
the
measuring
swish
him?
and flick.
Hagrid had a huge wand.
He's like,
That's what she said.
You're
He's got
ruining
trans
You know,
blood.
No, Voldemort was 13. Hagrid was 16.
No.
Ollivander takes a little too long measuring that inseam for some reason. Anyway, I don't know. I think Harry gets kind of creeped out.
For the one guy to cup your balls when you go in to get your... No, Joey, that's not what that's supposed to happen.
Nice.
Are you sure?
Zach, did you get that reference? That Friends reference?
Friends was a TV show. A TV was a...
Oh my god.
It was not. It was before we had high definition. The TVs
Ages.
used to be
Friends is
curved.
such a good show.
What are you talking about?
Matthew
And
Perry
he's-
used to be funny.
He wasn't always on a show about cars. Let's put it that way.
No, that's good. Joey factor.
Yeah.
The
So
other
anyway,
one.
they.
So you guys just rambled on forever and ever because I never told you that was enough?
So, guys, a camcorder was a device.
We've done that enough.
Yeah.
Matt, we know. We get the idea. We're younger than you.
So you guys just rambled on forever and ever because I never told you that was enough?
So, Greg, you haven't seen any of the movies either?
I've seen the first two movies, but I don't really... It was years ago. I was in college. I don't really remember much from them.
You were high the whole time.
I was not a high joke.
I almost said it. But I didn't.
They just show movies like outside on the green, like we don't. And they just remember them showing Harry Potter, but I don't remember.
It's all
much.
about the green.
Yeah, Greg, we know about your love for the group.
Oh God! You did walk
Movies
into
on the
that one a
green.
bit.
So you guys just rambled on forever and ever because I never told you that was enough?
So the students
These don't have to
meet.
be long, by the way. Like the summaries do not have to be that detailed, obviously.
Mine's kind of long. It's
Obviously.
Well,
Mine's really short, don't worry.
11 and a
That's what
half
she said.
inches, very supple. So,
So you guys just rambled on forever and ever because I never told you that was enough?
okay, I don't want to edit an after show because I feel like that's going to be another.
you don't have to.
Yeah.
Well, you just
You
cut it
edit.
out then.
You edit after shows.
Yeah.
Just chop it and then you just stick it at the end.
Or don't include it.
Yeah. Some
Like
people
it.
just don't include it, or you could be like me and just anally, pick it apart.
What's a bumper going to be?
Bumper.
Maybe there
You
won't
don't
be
need-
one.
You don't need a bumper. It's not necessary.
I mean, I
Bumper?
didn't
You
do that.
always need a bumper.
I didn't do that with mine.
What are we, farmers?
Some hosts do not do bumpers.
I'm t- I,
That's
I
like,
don't
but I
This
need
is
to add to
okay.
my tally.
I mean, there are
Still
options.
not
There are
funny.
plenty of options.
This is VOK. There are no rules. Oops.
Shane's trying to get a bumper right there.
You can't try to get a bumper.
There you go, Greg yawning.
No one can be told what the bumper is.
The bumper
This
finds
has nothing
you.
to do with Harry Potter.
The bumper chooses the podcast.